fiction, creative writing, also an author with novels and short stories in various places, and also, more recently, an adventure designer based upon 35 years plus of D&D. I run 4 separate campaigns on my Twitch channel, which goes everywhere from Curse of Strahd to the Adventures of Middle-earth game, which is sponsored by Cubicle 7, the company that makes it, to Esper Genesis, which is made by Alligator Alley Entertainment, which is a space opera-style game, to Dungeons & Dragons with GOG, which is the GOG.com community. So I do a lot of different channels. I do a lot of different games on my channel. And this particular adventure that we're going to be running tonight is based on this, which is Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which is going to be released in about 2 to 3 weeks. It went on Kickstarter earlier this year, $27,000 and 1,000 backers, so it went very, very well.
Wow.
And this is the first part of an adventure which was initially run for the Writers' Symposium at GenCon, and you folks are actually going to be the second group to go through this live with this. And so it was an intriguing group.
Is it only 5th edition?
Be able to do. This is 5e compatible, but it's not specific to any particular city. It's not set in, you know,
No, I
can
just
move
meant what
anywhere else,
system
but
is
it
it
is
just
5e, yes, it is Dungeons & Dragons 5e. So that's the deal. This is also being live streamed on my Twitch channel. Hello, Twitch channel.
Or the address, in case we want to quickly tweet it?
Absolutely. It is twitch.tv/Arvan, which is ARVAN.
Wait, it's still slash. R-A-V.
No, ARVAN.
A-N.
Oh, yes.
ELERON.
Yes.
Did you run something with Marie
I missed
Bilodeau?
yes.
I do.
Yes, I visited.
ARV.
Oh, cool.
I have you subscribed. Well, not subscribed. I'm following you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Marie does Emberwind with us.
Oh, because it popped up.
Yep.
So-
Ron.
It's okay.
I wrote Twit TV though. That's not.
Well, that's different. That's
totally different.
Yes.
So yes, so that is what this is about. But before we get started, I'm going to introduce our 3, or allow their players to introduce themselves, our 3 intrepid players. And I'll begin with, on the far left, let us know who you are and what you're doing here, and how long it's been since you played D&D.
My name is Gerald Brandt. I'm an author with Daw Books, and I haven't played D&D in 35 years, so this ought to be fun.
Good Lord. Welcome back to the fold.
So it has been a while.
Original.
Welcome to the
When you
future.
last played?
2, I think.
Yeah.
Second edition.
Yeah.
All right, on we go, Jeff.
Hi, my name's Jeff Gander. I'm a local Ottawa area writer of horror, dark fiction, science fiction, whatever crosses my fancy. My other hat is writing games. So I am a freelance writer with Fat Goblin Games and Sentinel Hill Press, where I do Call of Cthulhu to lower my sanity even more. And again, for my confession, it's been about 2 weeks since my last game session.
Say several Hail 20s, and you can do that in the morning. All right.
So my name is Charlotte Ashley. So far it's only short fiction that's published. My short historical fantasy has appeared in many issues of FNSF and Podcastle. That's my slide, FNSF and Podcastle. And I have been a gamer for, like a tabletop role player for, I'm going to say, 32 years. 32 years is about when I played my first game. It was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes! Because that was a great game, especially if you were 8 years old, because you're like, I can make a mutant anything!
Yeah.
So, and I have played, I played in every single game. I played in 3 games currently, despite the fact that I also have like a job and a life and kids, but we find time.
So I stopped playing before you started.
Yes. And confessions. I applied to be a writer in the 7th Sea reboot because 7th Sea is my favorite role-playing game of all time, and they didn't hire me. That's my life's disappointment. Are you listening, John Wick? Okay.
John Wick, in fact, is one of the contributors to this very volume. With this book actually is also a source book, by the way. So if you're looking for particular books in libraries that you might be running, which is that part system agnostic, we have people everywhere from Cap Rambo to John Wick to many other designers and developers, Carlos Hernandez and a lot of others who ended up contributing books to this. And so that can be of use also. It's an adventure and a source book is how we like to pitch it. And just to prove my bona fides, I'm going to include 6 dice that were taken from the original red box and still have the crayon that I used painstakingly to be able to paint them. So, 84.
Those are less dice,
84.
more artifacts.
Yeah, exactly. I have to be
I
careful.
never
I
bothered
thought
crayon
they were
in
different
mine.
colors.
They still work. They still
Wow.
work. So this is called Night at the Forbidden Library, and the 3 people that you see before you are all students at the Hearthglow Academy, which is an academy for young and aspiring adventurers who wish to go out and do great things in the world. Hearthglow Academy is one of the most prestigious of these places, and these 3 fine individuals who are about to tell you what their characters are, among the best and brightest, by which I mean the ones that are being sent on detention. And we'll see why they're being sent on detention in just a minute. So let me again start and have us talk about who each of us are playing. Want to go the other direction?
Yeah.
Okay, I will go the other direction.
Voice it off. My name is Chalice Skyblade, and I am 15 and a half years old, and I come from a very long and prestigious line of paladins. My family has been dedicating churches and bringing the light to the flocks for hundreds, possibly thousands of years. So I come to this very honestly and humbly, and I believe that you will see great things from me in the future.
Awesome.
All right. Good day, everyone. My name is Garvin Stormbeard. I am, not quite a crow dwarf. I'm only 32. But I am just embarking on the path of a faithful path, and Hearthglow provides me with the guidance I need to take those first steps in a promising career as a cleric. And in my spare time, I like to bake honey cakes.
My name is Karina Proudborough, and that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay. You could tell us though what what race and.
Oh, I guess I'm a
How did you
halfling.
even
I'm a
get
halfling
in?
monk, yeah, I'm just not comfortable around everybody that's here, so I'm going to just leave it at that.
Got it. All right. So.
Probably on scholarship.
So these wonderful individuals, both scholarship and non-scholarship, are here at Hearthglow Academy, and they have been brought to detention for various reasons, which they may or may not be willing to share with both you and with each other during the course of the adventure. That is entirely up to them. But the person supervising their detention is none other than Assistant Head of School Vernon Richard, who's this lovely-looking gentleman that you can see here on the right-hand side as you look in the purple.
He's so distinguished.
He is considered to be, he's been at the school for a long time, first as a teacher and then eventually promoted up to this level. And yeah, well, they've seen this already, but I shall show that to them also. And the gentleman that you see on your left on that screen is Thaddeus Caleriton, who is the new head of school. The old head of school has recently passed away, and the new head of school is well known for being a kind of no-nonsense, get right to the point, this is what I want things to do, in the way that I want things to be run. He's also considered to be a very top-level wizard, and Vernon Richard, although also very gifted as a wizard, is not the most, doesn't have the best bedside manner, might be a good way to put this. Vernon Richard has had run-ins with all of you in the past. And has made it very clear about what he thinks or does not think about you. And so, as you are all gathered for your detention, you are standing nearby this area which is known as the eastern wing of the library, also more popularly known as the Forbidden Library. The only thing you know about the Forbidden Library is that no one has been allowed to go into this wing of the library for 20 years. Something happened 2 decades before the beginning of this adventure that caused it to be closed, and no one really knows why or what, and nobody talks about it, and there's all sorts of rumors that this happened and that happened, and cults and rituals and all kinds of things, and no one really knows. But you are standing fairly near, rather uncomfortably near this place, as you're in detention, as Vernon Richard himself is the one who has brought you forth. And as you all come in, he says, "Yes, it's about time you've all shown up to do the job that was presented to you. So, it's a very simple detention all of you have this evening. I just need you to fetch a book. You know what a book is, don't you? Something you
Yes, sir.
read? Good. I knew that Charlotte would be able to give me the information that was required, whether I asked her for it specifically or not. I need you to go into the forbidden wing of the library, the eastern wing, and find this book. It is called The 5 Principles. We need it for research. And I'll expect all of you to be bringing it back to me as soon as possible, yes."
The Forbidden Library?
"Yes.
Have you talked to the headmaster about this?
I think the question is whether you have anyone else to talk to besides me. I have the full confidence of Thaddeus Clariton. Thank you. When you've returned with this book, I will allow you back out, and you can leave your detention early. This is the way that I like to behave. You do something good, you get a reward in exchange."
If you don't mind my asking, sir, no one's been allowed in for a long time. Why would we be entrusted with it? Aren't there staff?
If I wanted staff to waste their time getting a book, Garvin, I would have asked them. You, on the other hand, are frankly worthy of this task.
Yes, sir.
Nothing to say, Corinna?
Nope.
Good. And he holds up a hand and he kind of waves his hand, and the doors gradually slide open. And I should say open as in the doors open outward. And as the doors open, they say outward, inward, sorry, the doors open inward. And as the doors open inward, there's this puff of dust that comes out from the inside of the library. And as you look inside, you can see, going just down the hallway, these blue, look almost like wear lights, kind of opening and lighting up down the hallway. And he folds his arms and he says, "Well, your detention awaits." "Yes?"
What's the book called?
"The 5 Principles." "Yes."
What's it about?
5 Principles. "Yes."
Is there like a section for 5 principles, or maybe it's after the 4 principles section?
That's a good place to start looking. One of those principles is self-reliance.
Can I just stay here and let them go?
No.
That might be best.
No. All 3 of you will be needed. You can help each other in your process of learning. All right, be off. No more questions.
Oh.
And he sort of marches away. This is, by the way, how he always acts. Just to be clear, this is always how Vernon acts. And so he kind of, opens his, just sort of gestures to the hallway and waits with his arms folded.
Well, I guess there's nothing for it. The sooner we start, the sooner we finish.
Just as you're saying that, very faintly above you, you can hear the sounds of cheering. This is also the night of a great revel in the school called Anniversary, which is basically kind of like homecoming, right? Like something which happens every year to celebrate things that are happening in the school, and you're missing a lot of the big feast. There's dancing, there's a lot of great stuff going on up there, and you can't do any of it unless you get done to this early, in which case you could join the festivities.
So if I don't go, I don't have to go to the party?
If you don't go, his impression is that he'll come up with something worse.
If you don't go,
Which probably would involve
Don't
you.
slow us down.
He might make you go to the party.
I mean, there's what, like 5 aisles? One center aisle?
There's just one aisle that you see
Can we
going down
see
the
the
center. You can only see at the very end of where the wear lights are. So you see the
Okay.
but then it seems like there's a dark area beyond that, presumably another room.
This library goes on forever. I just know it.
You didn't even say where it is. All right, I'll go to the front of the first shelf.
Okay, so you walk in. So all of you are walking
Yes,
in.
I'll walk
Okay.
in too.
All right.
So when all of you walk in, and there's a moment, you look back and you can see him kind of standing there, and then this little smug smile, and then the doors, and I actually have a picture of that. I'm going to be showing pictures all the time because I'm so excited because they showed me this before I came to do this. So this is a picture of the doors closing from the inside. Art is gorgeous, by the way. The artist did an amazing job. And so this is the inside of the hallway. I'll show it to Chad in just a minute. This is the inside of the hallway as they walk in. There you go, Chat. I see people already commenting.
Yeah, that's us.
That's us.
Oh, that's you? You were the folks who were commenting. Okay. So, as you enter, I will start talking a little bit about what it is you see. Again, I'm sorry that we don't have a projector to do this, so I apologize. Folks in the back will not be able to see the map. The projector is not compatible with my computer. Sorry. So, so I will show this first to the audience, then I will show it to everyone else. So you are standing here, and you can see that this passageway goes down this way. You don't actually see any shelves yet. This is just apparently the entrance hall.
Oh, okay.
But there are two statues that I want to note that are to the north and the southern side of the hall. It's flanked, these halls flanked by these two statues which depict two famous former heads of the Hearthglow Academy. The two before Thaddeus Coleriton, the current head of school's immediate predecessor. And there are, you can see gold plaques at the bottom of each statue.
That's cool.
Is the new headmaster new to us? Have we ever had a different headmaster? Has he always been our headmaster?
You would have had a different headmaster, yes. The old headmaster just passed away within the last few months.
Okay.
So this guy is new to pretty much everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So you said you're going
I
over to
do,
look.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you go over to look at, are you going southern or northern? Because there's a
North.
plaque on each one. The north one. Okay.
North.
So this one up here. When you go to the northern statue, the plaque reads Coletta Solarish, 1334 to 1340.
Roughly when was that compared to now?
That would have been 1340 would have been about, roughly speaking, about 20 years before this,
Okay.
maybe 17, 18 years before this. How close, by the way, do you, Garvin, get to the north? Like, I mean, do you, like, are you just like peering, or do you go up a little bit?
Close enough that I can clearly make out the inscription.
When you see that plaque, the plaque suddenly blurs
Ooh.
and reads "Beware," and each statue points down at you.
What did I do?
That seems like a bad idea. I go back and check and see if the door's locked.
The door is locked.
Do you guys see?
Yeah.
Still.
I will step back into the light.
When you step back, the statue returns to its regular stance of before.
Okay, you try next.
No, you should probably read the other one too.
I'm not afraid. I'll look at the
I'm
southern
afraid
one.
no.
When you go to the southern one, you see the plaque reads Orencia Silverleaf and 1320 to 1334. So if you're reading it properly, she was the head of school before Coletta Solarish, the one that you read first. And again, when you get close to it, beware, that statue points at you also. Both statues simultaneously point at you.
Okay.
Both statues.
Both statues.
How well versed are we in the history of Hearthglow?
Somewhat, I would say.
Can I rack my brains to see if I remember hearing anything about these past two headmasters?
Absolutely you may, and this is a chance to sort of bring everyone into a mechanic known as a skill check.
Okay.
If you look at your sheet, you will see there should be something which says history, and if it's not history, then you can look under wisdom. Like for example, you have history +3. So if you find history under skills, let me know if you do, Jeff.
I'm not historically inclined, unfortunately. I'm insightful.
Okay, well, that's fine. You can still just make a wisdom check for me. So that means you're going to roll your 20, as you know, and then you're going to add the wisdom bonus to that score.
And it's a 12.
Okay. What is it specifically you were trying to remember?
I have insight.
Do I remember anything about these people at all?
Yes. You would know without too much difficulty, actually, that these were not only previous heads of school, but in particular, Orencia Silverleaf was one of the ones that you've heard other older professors and teachers refer to as having been this very important, figure at some point. You don't know a lot about the details except to say that it was something that other previous, even the head of school might have, the one that you were most familiar with before this one, might have referred to Orencia in the past. She obviously preceded him considerably.
Okay. Important folk.
Well, they got statues.
So do they like you or not like you? Are they choosing you, or they may be saying that you should stand away?
Well, we have a duty. I think they just don't like dwarves. Racist.
I'm gonna go see if they point at me too. I'll go and read the northern one.
Okay, and they do. Now, do you back away first from
I
the
do.
southern one?
I
So
do
you
back.
do, and the statue goes back. And when you go to the northern one, same thing. Blurs, beware, and they point at you this time.
All right, let me try.
Hey,
All right.
They don't do anything. No, I'm kidding. Just joking. No, they do the same thing. So again, blurs, and then they point at you.
they hate
I
all
look
of us.
slightly disappointed.
Okay.
All right.
Just a
I
general.
mean, I just thought maybe it'd be a little different, that's all.
We should all be equally wary.
Oh, yeah, well, the beware thing. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's weird. At least I go, shh.
No, that's true. So we could probably make as much noise as we want.
Hot damn. All right,
Okay.
let's go for that.
My divine sense is that, it is a recharge thing. It doesn't just happen all
Yes,
the time.
that's correct. Right.
You know, I'm going to open my awareness anyway. Does it seem like an okay library? We've just been locked in by our teacher.
So you're specifically trying to use your divine sense to determine if there's evil, demonic forces, or
Yeah.
things like
Do I
that.
feel good? Do I feel bad about this library?
The prevailing within the range that spell works within
it's like
this
60
area, you feel sort of a general resonance of kind of faint evil, but it's confused. It doesn't seem like it's not like the statue was
It's
the
not like the
source of
statues are
evil.
glowing
No,
evil.
there seems to
or-
be
okay.
a general kind of drift of it, almost like motes of dust upon the breeze. That's the way it would feel to you.
Oh my god.
On the other hand, if it's a faint resonance of evil, that could be any high school, really.
Yeah, actually, that could just be hormones.
Especially in the stoner corridor. in the back.
Detect
That's
hormones.
something
There we go. There's your spell.
The hall also extends out to the east.
I'm
so
gonna
you
pull
actually-
my sword anyway, because I do feel that maybe we should be kind of prepared here. I mean, I know we just said to get a book, but maybe this is a test of some kind.
Maybe the book's overdue.
Yeah?
Then we need weapons then. Let's get those weapons out.
I was thinking more that we're some of the best students in this school. So maybe it's whichever one of us gets it first, wins valedictorian or something.
Should
I'm
be-
sure that that's what it is.
It should be noted that the best student thing may slightly be sarcastic on Richard's point of view. You're definitely the most people that cause problems for him.
All right. Well, I'm going to get out my holy symbol
Okay.
and my hammer.
Okay. You only have to get out your fists. So it's
Yeah, I'm
easy
just
for
gonna
you.
follow everybody
I'll go
for a
first.
little while.
You're
Okay.
always,
Do
you're
we need
always
lighting of
quick,
any
though,
kind, or is it? Do
No,
the
the wear
lights
lights can
continue
stand.
as we go in?
Yes. Now you still don't see past just the edge here, but
Yeah.
you can see sort of faint shadow, but nothing specific.
Okay.
But if you get farther, closer to it, maybe those things will pop up as well. It definitely was when the door opened that the lights
Okay.
went on.
I keep my eyes open for a card catalog.
Okay. So just to be clear, you're taking the lead and walking forward, and the
Yes.
two of you are right
Yeah.
behind. Okay.
I'm last.
And you're last on there, looking backwards over.
Waiting
All
for
right.
those doors to open again.
When you get to the end of this hall, you see the following. Again, those lights, but this is a much larger hall. And it's a very large circular room, and I will show it to you in just a second. I again apologize that I have to do this all on my laptop.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, we do need beer here or something.
Can I put a bounty on it? If someone
Yeah,
brings me
let's-
a mysterious paper bag that definitely doesn't have alcohol in it, I'd really appreciate it.
The characters are all underage anyway, so there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Small, tight-knit group.
So we
No one
never-
is going to rat us.
Okay. Here we go.
Last time we did this, Derek
So
did.
this area is divided into three concentric circular sections. And there is a large, very tall, in fact so tall you can't even see the top, silver tree, which is right in the center of this. And there are exits that you can see. Again, the lights just flicker on, but they flicker on all around the room this time. and there is a hallway leading east, one north, and one south.
Are there any bookshelves in here?
There are not bookshelves in here.
This is the worst library.
Yeah, what kind of library is
What's dividing the concentric rows? Is that some sort of, looks like a ridge on the map?
That's right. These are stone, they're basically stone barriers that seem to be lifted up probably a little bit less than waist high.
You can climb over them hypothetically.
My waist high?
Not your waist high.
You have to be.
You can climb over them because of your incredible agility.
Well,
They
thank you.
because of their height.
Well, you're little too. The little people are behind me.
Okay.
Don't make fun
I
of
beg
them.
your pardon?
So yes, this is what you see.
Okay.
Oh man, well I definitely go inspect the tree.
Oh, what's
Well,
what's
yeah.
what's that rectangular
Thing on the
trapdoor
floor.
thing?
We don't
thing
see
looking
that.
at?
I mean, just a rectangle.
This is
It
not a
looks
trapdoor.
to be. It actually looks to be like a pattern on the floor. Everything in here, I should say, by the way, there is this layer of dust that you can see. Although it should be pointed out that as you're sort of looking at these things, the air is actually somewhat fresher than you might have expected. Normally, if something had been shut for 20 plus years, you would expect it to be really musty. It's really not actually, and which seems unusual. And this tree, you have no idea where the source of water would be to water it,
But it
and
keeps
yet
alive.
this tree looked very much alive. Yes.
Okay. Do either of you have like outdoor skills?
I'll have a look. Well, my outdoor skills extend to being underground, so I might be able to help here.
That might-
Wait. Could I use my stone cunning to examine the construction of this place to see if I can figure out where the drafts might be coming from?
Yes, although you don't, just to be clear, you don't have any distinct knowledge. I mean, like, you don't feel any drafts per se.
Okay.
It's just sort of a general, like, why isn't it
It's
musty?
not as
type of
impressive
thing.
But
as
it I might have a sense of construction to
Yeah.
figure out why. Okay.
Could do that.
Right, I got a +4. All right. Natural 20.
Wow.
Nice and
So
funny.
you know all, the whole thing, just everything's ones and zeros, you are the one, no. So.
I'm gonna die next, I know.
One thing which is very clear to you is you're not 100% sure, nothing is obvious to you in terms of where the air is, but there's two notable things about this. Number one, you can't see, as I said, at the top of the tree, and I mean, roughly speaking, where you went down from the main hall to go down to this detention, right? And you also, as I said, could hear the sound of this. Well, you hear no such sound now, even though technically you should be heading closer to where the actual thing is taking place. The big
auditorium.
celebratory, yeah, the big celebration is taking place. And the tree, from where you're looking, like, should be going right up into the middle of the hall. Like, it should be there, and you've never seen this tree before. Which suggests to you that something must have been designed so that, from your knowledge of construction, something is clearly magical or going on here that's causing the tree not to be visible where it should be in the level above you.
I will relay my insights.
Okay.
I want to climb the tree.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me inspect it first to make sure it is not evil.
So you're going to go over and try to inspect to see if it's not evil?
Just to make sure.
All right.
Have a good look.
What are you going to do to do that? Because your divine sense, I think, at this point would be...
Yeah, it's still miasmic evil, right? I am going to have a look at the tree, see if I can ID it. I have absolutely no such easy...
Make a history check for me, please.
I know history, though. Boy, I know history.
Learning.
16.
You are pretty sure that you remember having heard, remember I told you you'd heard of Orencia Silverleaf
Yeah.
before? You remember having heard a story that Orencia Silverleaf had herself planted a tree of some power, but no one has ever been able to find where it was.
Perhaps one with silver leaves.
Could be.
Okay, of some power. What kind of power are we talking about here? Like a power source?
That's not clear. It was always just, this thing has some magical properties, but no one's ever seen the tree themselves that is at least talked about it.
Okay.
And so you don't know.
Is this type of tree, or silver trees in general, any kind of like religious symbol that we might be familiar with, or arcane symbol?
Not necessarily, except that, of course, trees themselves are often a big, significant part of the worship of certain druidic clans, especially elves themselves are very close to nature. Coralon, Laralin is well known as being the god of elves and trees. All of that stuff is part of it, but you don't remember anything specific about a silver tree.
Okay.
I'm gonna climb the tree.
You're going to climb the tree. I would like you then to make an athletics check. If you have in your skill list athletics.
I do, +1.
All right, well then you roll a 20-sided die, and you're going to add that 1 and tell me what you get.
8.
So you're like, I can do this. You go up, and you begin to ding, 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 right down the trunk.
Oh my god, you are lucky that that is all that happened, because no offense, that kind of seems sacrilegious.
It's a tree.
This is not any tree. Don't you remember the story about Silverleaf and the magical tree that she planted? The tree of power?
I would, Corinna, while you're doing this, sliding down the trunk, hearing this, I would like you to make a perception check for me, please, which is also should be listed in your skills.
Senses passive perception 12.
I don't need passive though in this case. I need you to actually make a roll. So it should say just perception.
No.
If not, that's
Skills?
wisdom.
No, wisdom.
Wisdom be +2.
Where are we?
It's a bad monk that can't perceive things.
No.
No, it'll be, I think it'd just be his
Then it's just be wisdom.
Proficiency
Yeah.
plus
Then it's
2?
just wisdom.
Yeah.
20?
D20
And then add that 2.
Oh, good.
21.
You hear, Corinna, as you're sort of sliding down the trunk feeling a little embarrassed, a faint tinkle of bells, and there is a soft whisper of words that accompanies it. Now, the question I have for you is, it should say on your sheet what languages you speak.
Common, Draconic, and Halfling.
Okay. None of this language, it's a very liquid kind of language, but you don't recognize the words. But you heard it as you were sliding down the trunk.
Do they hear it?
Nope. Although they're not as close to the tree climbing it, so.
I'm nattering at you about not climbing the tree.
I'm not climbing.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
I think the tree probably doesn't want to be climbed. I think it's fair to say.
I think we should leave it alone.
Yeah.
I really want to try it again.
You can.
Honestly, there's no books in here, and the sooner we get back to however you get out of this place, maybe once we get the book, it'll open the door for us. Anyway,
we get out of here, we're going to go to the party, right?
well, you don't
Nobody
have
wants
to go.
that.
You can go back to your boring old dorm and meditate or whatever it is you do.
All right, let's go find a book.
Okay. So there are 3, as I mentioned, ways out of this room: north, east, and south.
Which one has the biggest door?
All the same size.
I mean, you've got like a divining rod or something?
Are there any inscriptions or signs around the different doors? If it's a plaque indicating what types of books, is there a sectional division?
There does not appear to be, no.
One says philosophy, one
There
says
doesn't
medicine.
appear to be, although as you're just sort of looking, one thing that you can note is that to the east you see what looks like there might be some bookshelves, but it also seems to be kind of a little bit of a longer room, whereas both north and south look to be mirrors of each other. Little hallway, and then maybe the shadows reveal just a little bit of what looks like a lot of shelves up to the north and a lot of shelves down to the south. East, not as many bookshelves, although there might be a couple. But again, you'd have to get closer for the light to presumably pop on.
I don't have any divination, really.
You could just pick a door. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Okay,
Can I use my insight and figure out?
let's go east.
Insight would be used actually
Seems like
more when
3
someone
for
tells you
each.
something and you're not sure if they're being truthful.
It's like
or
an
not.
3, 4,
That's
5,
what insight
6.
would
There we
be.
go.
That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Yeah. So 1 to 2 north, 3 to 4 east,
East?
5 to 6 south.
East is an auspicious direction.
Yeah, it's different from the other 2.
I mean, churches
Okay.
usually face east,
Every
right?
direction is different from the other direction.
That's true.
All right,
We've made a decision.
so what did fate determine?
Fate determined east.
Fate determined east, okay. So as you head, as I move that out of the way, as you head to the east, and you're still in front, right, Charlotte?
Yes.
Okay. When you get up to the sides, you can sort of come up, and the rear lights do not pop on, and then you hit something invisible apparently. You didn't see anything, but you are repelled by an extremely strong force.
Walk it a little slower. Can it be?
It feels a little
Hard.
bit like you're almost pushing into like hard kind of rubberized wall, like you just
Right.
push in and then give like that.
This is not a dilemma.
This might not be the way to go. Why don't we try west?
Okay, we'll go north or south.
North.
Yeah, 2 options. Let's go north.
Okay, you're going north.
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay. When you go north, you'll be happy to know that you do not get repelled from there. The room, as you come up to it, the rear lights go on here, but very dimly. So you have a hard time seeing. It's almost as if there are not as many of them, and they're not as bright.
Don't you have low light vision?
I do. I've got dark
That may be
vision,
helpful
so-
here.
Yeah, so I can see just fine.
That may be. That may
Maybe I should go in first in this case.
I have a torch.
Wait, you do? We didn't bring spelunking gear, did we? We should have.
Well, let's see.
Oh, look at all this.
Scare
Look at all this stuff I got.
Well, I got the sacred flame cantrip. I could create some flame.
I
It does
light
it-
a torch.
It does occur to you, by the way, that both sacred flames and torches, in a library with 20-year-old pages of paper, just letting you know, just
That
putting it
occurred
out
to
there.
you? That wouldn't have occurred to me. All right.
Okay, when you go to the north, but you can do some of that, jokes aside, just, be a little cautious of the paper here. But as you're going up, you can see that there is a room here which has exits to the east and west. And there are indeed some shelves here, but the thing I want to note most of all is that there are tons and tons of stacks of books that are on the floor, just not even organized. They're just
So it's like we've
up
wandered
and
into
sort of
like a
piled
rare
up.
book dealer's and nothing is in order.
There
There's
you
just
go.
piles of books everywhere.
Imagine the dealer's room after an earthquake, okay?
Yeah,
Like, it's
okay.
basically like that. There's stacks of books everywhere. And as you walk in, it's actually not super easy to walk without knocking said things over.
Oh my god.
Are the
I
books as
guess
dusty as
start
everything
looking
else?
at titles?
That, to determine that, you would need to get sort of like right up to see them. It looks right now as if they're not any newer than anything else, but
Shall we start looking?
We should. Okay, and the lights are dim here as well.
yes.
I mean, how dim is dim?
You're able to see them. You're able to see the books. You're able to see things around you, but it's not super easy. You can do it enough that if you're careful, you can make your way between the stacks of books without knocking anything over. But you'd have to get real close if you wanted to see the cover of one of
I
them.
think we might need
Now,
to.
with my dark vision, though, I can see things.
Yep. Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
I'm okay. Are there any sconces in the walls or anything like that?
There are not.
Okay.
These wear lights that I mentioned seem to be just at fixed intervals, almost in the wall themselves. Hard to tell because they're lit whether they are just sort of there on top of the wall or if they're like these lamps, older versions of those, where the light is sort of in like these depressions in the wall. That's hard to tell.
Okay. Well, they're books. We found books.
Yeah,
We
well.
could look at the books.
I'll pick up a random title.
Okay. As you pick up the first book, you hear this. It sounds like wings.
Is it like in a chittering way or like a? Okay.
Did you hear a fluttering sound? Wings.
I think I heard that. Where does it seem to be coming from?
Seems to be coming from all around you. In fact, as you listen, Charlotte, it sounds almost like riffling pages as much as wings.
I looked straight up in the air. How tall is the ceiling? How far away are we?
The ceiling is probably about 20 feet high.
There's books right up to the top, I presume.
Yeah, and as you look up, you see one of those books, which is on one of these stacks, sort of, and the book literally leaps off the stack of books, and
Flaps
with
into
its
little
covers,
wings?
yes, with its covers like this, flies around, and then and flies in towards you. I would like all of you to roll what we call initiative, please.
Woo!
So initiative means you're going to roll the 20-sided die and add your dexterity bonus to that.
Oh, yay!
We're all
minus
so
one.
dexterous.
12.
All right, let's see. Charlotte is a 12.
It's because I'm waiting to dodge to the last minute so that I can read the title of the book.
Okay.
Maybe this is it.
Okay.
No.
Also do me a favor, Charlotte. How many hit points do you have, please?
More than I need. 12.
How many
We'll
hit
see
points-
about that.
How many hit points did you have? It's like the DM asks you what
I
the
know.
party order is before. It's like, oh.
Just to be clear,
Yeah.
what will it be
You were
made out?
definitely in front beyond where anyone could reach,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, and then Garvin, what are your hit points and your initiative, please?
My initiative is 12, and my hit points are 11 until the next announcement.
And Garvin, what is your
For
dex?
now.
Garvin, what's your dexterity score, please? Sorry, not Garvin. Is it Garvin?
No, me?
No, Jeff.
No.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my dexterity score.
Say you-
My dexterity score is 8.
Just the raw score is
Yeah,
8.
eight.
Okay, and what's yours, Shala?
Can I write
I'm sorry,
this?
not Shala. Yes, Shala. What is your
My
raw
dex is a
dexterity?
9.
Okay, so
Oh, my
Shala's
God.
going to go
You're
first.
not dexterous.
Corinna, what did you get for Ed's score? For Ed?
For
Addition.
10.
10.
Yeah, I can't remember your guard.
And hit point total for you, please, Corinna. It should say there's
10.
Also,
Will somebody edit it? This is like a podcast.
People are saying about us. Those idiots.
No, go
left, go left.
let's see. Right now they're saying get hyped, and
Yep, it's non-stop.
then there's then someone here is saying this is the worst book club ever. I wonder who that could be.
He hasn't eaten anyone yet.
Derek said that.
Okay.
Books.
I mean, the thing is, our teacher wouldn't have sent us in here if it was dangerous or if he thought we were going to be killed. He would never.
What
You
was
trust
what was the
teachers?
name of this library?
The East Wing Library. It's not forbidden anymore, obviously.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The Forbidden Library.
Okay, so there are actually 2 of these things that are
Book- the
flying
flying book
around you.
things?
2 flying book things which are flying around you. Roll that to try to. Right. Okay, Shala, you were first to act. So
Yeah.
this thing is flying directly down at you.
Okay, so do I have a shield or do I just use a sword?
It would say.
I have a long sword and a javelin, apparently. Well, I've just got my long sword out with my both hands.
Okay.
I'm going to sort of hold it above me in the traditional parrying position.
Right.
And squint and wait and see if I can see what's called on his way down.
Okay. It looks like it'll be able to be within range, so I mean, you could swing at it as it comes towards you.
I know, but what if I break it?
That's true. I can't deny that.
Self-defense.
I'm going for a parry. I'm going to ready an action to swat at it if it seems to endanger me.
Okay, so what you could do is you could take the dodge action as a part of that, which
Yes.
would mean that they would get disadvantage to attack you.
Okay.
But it means your whole turn is that, though. That
Okay.
means-
Yes,
okay.
that will be my whole turn.
All right, Garvin, you are up next then.
Okay.
And these things, you can see the 2 of them. One of them is actually, one's flying at you, one's flying at Shala. Corinna, you are at the moment not being attacked directly.
Well, I said I do have a shield and I got my hammer out, and I see that this is not a normal thing. Books are not generally in the habit
Generally
of
not,
attacking
yes,
people.
that's true.
So I'm going to hit it.
Okay.
That's close.
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead and make an attack roll then. And
Warhammer, +4.
again, this is for the people who don't know. You're going to be rolling a 20, and you're going to be adding the Warhammer bonus that it shows on that list.
+4. I rolled a 19. +4 is 23.
Absolutely a hit. So now you can roll your damage of said hammer.
That is a D8 +2 bludgeoning
I
damage.
mean, where are flying
Total
books
of
vitals?
6.
6. All right. So you strike this thing, and you hear this thud as you bang into the cover. It's hard cover. Kind of flies
So
off to
safe.
the side,
Yeah, yeah.
almost sort of loses it, and then kind of circles around for the attack again. All right. That is going to. And are you going to stay where you are, Garvin, or are you going to like?
I'm probably gonna. Right now, if I've hit it and I see it spiraling away and I see it still active, I'm going to stay where I am.
Got it. Okay. Corinna, that leads us to you. So you are the next person to act.
Can I just grab the book?
Which one?
The one that
You're gonna grapple the book?
Yeah, I'm gonna grapple the book. The one that he hit.
Okay. Grabbing it is going to be you. Well, I mean, you could try. What we would call that is basically grappling. You're basically trying to grapple the book. I should point out that the book seems to be in the process of attempting to attack you whilst you grapple.
Okay.
So you might be opening yourself up to attack if you do that. I'm just
Does it
letting
not
you
have
know.
teeth?
It doesn't seem to have teeth, but it seems like these pages, although they're rippling, seem
Razor sharp.
remarkable. Yeah,
Okay.
very
Oh,
bad
it's
paper
full
cut.
of-
Very, very bad paper cuts.
Death by paper cuts.
All right, and I'm just gonna dodge.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're going to dodge out of the way.
Yeah.
Same way. Okay, so the book is going to fly down. All right. We're going to start with the bad guy's turn. First one is going to attack Shala, and I think that is. You do have a shield.
I do. So I'm probably using it for cover, like so.
Okay. This thing, it's a 24 to hit your armor class, which I'm going to guess does. but-
That'll definitely hit me.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, how much am I dodge? +2, +4?
Oh, right, event. Yes, thank you. That's
Yeah.
right, you're dodging. Thank you. Well, or a 22 to hit. So
Unless
I guess
my
it's-
dodge is
apparently it's
+4.
going to hit. Is the way that goes. And as it goes down, it basically tries to slash you with its pages, and does. It is going to do 3 points of damage to you as it like slashes your arm as you go by.
Ah!
Yeah, it hurts.
I'm wearing chainmail.
Yeah, very strong stuff. The other one is going to come down and attack Garvin, who's not dodging,
No, I'm not.
and is going to get a 12.
Doesn't beat my armor class of 18.
All right, so you basically punch it out of the way. All right, and that brings us up to the top of the round. Shala, you're up. First blood has been drawn against you.
It hit me for 3, right? Sorry.
Yes.
Scribble paper. Okay, that was literally the worst. So I assume it sort of came down to me. Can I like round around and smash it on the back of the
Sure.
spine with my sharp sword?
Quite literally, it's fine.
Thing.
Right? The book's fine.
I'm gonna try to break its spine.
That's good.
Is that a killing blow?
Bibliophiles all the world over will go.
I know. Sorry. Sorry. Plus it is the same as my plus strength. Or yes.
Well, it should say in the actual weapon, so
My
it'll say
actual-
+5.
Look what you've done. 15.
That is a hit.
Not bad.
So now you can roll your
I'm
damage
a
for it.
smasher good. That will be 5 slashing damage.
All right, so you slash into the side of it. And again, you sort of see the big cut open up in its cover, and it kind of flaps off in another direction and circles around again. Are you going to stay where you are, Shala, or are you going to remain engaged with these
I think
books?
I am. Yeah, I'm gonna get like my good fighting stance. I'm ready for it, man.
Okay, that brings us to Garvin then.
All right. So, how close is my assailant?
It's pretty close, because you saw it moving and sort of took a step forward to engage it, so.
All right. Well, whackety whack.
Okay.
Don't come back.
Damn straight. All right. 14 plus 4, 18.
18 will hit.
Hoo-hoo. At least I'm not tearing pages with slashing damage.
I guess if it needed to be like reskinned, that would be fine.
Yeah. I suppose. Okay. Total of 7.
7. All right, so that's a good hit. You can see now a few pages actually kind of flap around and loosely kind of float to the ground.
That's
You
a
can
table of
see
contents.
some books being damaged. Yeah, exactly. I'd like to point out the irony of having authors destroy books.
So, sort of like this one here.
Yeah,
So I've
it's
already
just one
taken
of them.
some
Yeah, that's called the damage if they didn't glue it right. Unfortunately, wizards. Oh well. But yes, you damage it. Again, same thing. You're staying engaged with it.
Yes.
Okay. I'll bring us
It's a matter of pride.
on to Corinna, who is next.
How far away are the books from me?
They are now, neither one is engaged with you. One of them is probably about 10 feet away, the one that's on Garvin. The other one's maybe about 15, which is the one on Shala. Either one you could get to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna use my short sword and go after the one that he's damaged.
The one that he's damaged. Okay. So what I will ask you to do is to roll your 20-sided die, and you're going to add, it should say your short sword little bonus there.
Yep. Oh, yay. 9.
9 is not going to do
Is
it.
that
Yes.
You sort of jump up and like, but the thing is too high, and you kind of don't quite hit it. You land dramatically though, like Avengers style. You know, you just kind of like. No one saw that.
Many air molecules met their demise.
Yes.
Can I
I'll
go
never
try to
bother
find
you.
the tree again?
Okay, that's going to bring. Is going to what's that?
Sorry, use your bonus action.
Use your bonus action.
What?
I get a bonus action?
Well, it would
That's the system
say
we're playing?
it would say underneath what actions you have on your sheet, and you may have a bonus action there, possibly.
No, it's a monk weapon, so it's 5 hit. Oh, reach 5.
Yeah, you can take one of them or unarmed strike.
Bonus action, monk feature.
Yes. So for, as I remember monks, because it's been a long time. Do you remember off the top of your head the bonus
Yes.
action? Go ahead and tell us.
Basically, you were able to make one unarmed attack in conjunction with the
Right.
use of a monk weapon on your main action. So what this allows you to do is make 2 attacks around. One is with your monk weapon, which is in this case your short sword,
Yeah.
and then follow up with an arm.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
Elbow, knee.
Perfect.
Been ages since I played monk. That's quite right. Yep. So
right.
you can actually make an
It's
attack,
not-
and you
so
have on that
punching
unarmed
is
thing
fine.
you can see is right on your sheet as well. There's an unarmed strike.
And I'm
underneath your
looking
sword.
for, there it is, yeah. Okay, so attack
Yeah, thank you.
plus 5 to
Very
hit.
Come on, 20. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
like 24.
Absolutely hit. So you
nice.
punch this thing right in the spine.
Nice.
Let's see how much damage you do.
Take that.
Right under there. What times
Damage is
Hopefully
1d4.
it's calculus or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
So damage is right at the top.
Yeah.
So that's 4 plus 4 is 8.
8 damage, all right. And that was the one that was more damage that you've been attacking, right? Okay, so this thing now is looking pretty messed up. It kind of flutters around, like one cover is half off, and seems to be having some difficulty keeping airspeed up to the right place. And it comes around, having been hit this way, and goes after you, Corinna. And it's going to try to slash you. And let's see, that is going to be an 18. Your armor class
It's 15.
is 15, so it's going to hit. All right, let's see how much damage that is going to do. That is going to be 5 points of damage to you. Corinna. This thing,
Wow.
apparently it does not like being hit by you.
I don't like it either.
And it slashed you as a consequence.
They have to dig into the healing.
Dang.
The other one is going to continue to attack you, Shala, but I don't think it's going to do anything because a 9 I don't think is going to.
Heckin' no.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you managed to block it off. That's going to bring us to Shala, top of the round again.
All right.
So the one on you is a little hurt, the one on Garvin is very hurt.
I'm gonna.
And Corinna.
No, that's too difficult. I was gonna say I'm just gonna pin it on the ground, but I'm not gonna try to make a cold shot because that would be poor.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just like I'm gonna try to slash it in the spine again,
Okay,
timing it perfectly, of course. I'm gonna
Oh,
wait
no.
till it's exactly the right spot and then just like absolutely
Right in
whack.
the fold. Cut it in half like a
That
phone
is
book.
a 18.
hit.
Yep.
All right.
Or it's supposed to be right. Oh, oops. 4.
4 points of damage, all right. So kind of a glancing blow, but it is still kind of, you definitely see a page sort of flutter out of it and land on the ground. And that's going to bring, assuming you're staying engaged with it,
Oh, yeah.
Garvin, this is you again with Corinna on deck.
I'm going to try to finish this one off.
All right?
All right, 18 plus 4, 22.
Definitely a hit. Having no problem hitting these things.
No. I guess I love books.
I was going to say.
All right, 10 points.
10 points, yeah, you absolutely smack it. You actually smack it so much that the spine just goes, you hear this awful crack, and then and just lands on the ground, and its pages kind of lie all over. So it is
Librarians
definitely
wrote the
destroyed.
multiverse scream of the sound.
Yeah.
Exactly. Little mini book comes out, Daddy.
A chapbook one.
Little paperback.
Brochure. What's wrong with you? Well, son, Daddy's not coming home. More budget cuts. All right, moving on we go to. Let's see. That was Garvin with that hit. Corinna. Oh wait, sorry, Garvin. You just did that with your attack. Where are you moving now, if anywhere?
I'm going to move over closer to Corinna to check out her injuries.
Okay. While he's doing that, and you're feeling your injuries, Corinna, there's one that remains, which is on Shala.
It's fine. I got it. It's fine.
I believe her.
Are you just going to stay there and wait for the healing to occur then?
I'm not feeling
It
very
hurts.
good.
Shalla said she had it under control.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We're teenagers. We don't think of it as like, yeah, okay, fine, yeah.
Like weaving and ducking and like slipping on loose sheets.
Right, exactly. All right, so you're just going to stay there while he comes up and tries to see what
I
you
think
can
that
do.
would be a good idea.
Okay. Then that's going to bring us up to the top of, not the top of the round, that's
Oh, yeah,
the round of the
book gets
basket.
Book on Friday.
Yeah, you're.
Yes, it's going to try to hit you with a 14.
Nope.
Okay, so it's going to miss. Not having much luck hitting you. Now it's your turn, Sean.
Because I have such a big shield.
Oh, good.
Do I crit? Is that a thing anymore? Anyway, 24.
It absolutely can be a crit.
Do I crit on 19 or just
it
on
would
20?
say whether the crit is 19. Usually it's
No,
20.
so it's probably just a 20.
Yeah.
No worries. I will merely smash it with damage. 6.
6, okay, so you smack it. You can see it's starting to look a little bit, there's
Sorry.
definitely some more pages. No, I mean, you've done some damage
My
to it,
book
but
was bigger than yours,
it's
to
not
be
it's
fair.
not near death yet, but it's definitely you've done some damage to it.
It was a lot.
Garvin, you are
It's like
now
George Orwell's
over.
one
You're
tough
now over
book.
with Corinna.
Right.
Okay, I am going to cure wounds. Now, because I am a disciple of life, my recipient gains additional hit points equal to 2 plus my spell level.
Okay.
So I figured this would be a good thing to do here. So, spell casting. Okay, because it's beneficial. does she still have to save against the spell, or
No.
can she just, okay, so I can't, was it spell save DC?
Not on Healing.
No.
No.
The spell save DC would be for other sort of offensive spells.
Okay.
This, Corinne's made it clear she would like to be healed.
Oh.
So
Okay, good.
go ahead and roll for the. I like the image of you actually saying that. And like just for extra effect. Everyone looking at you. Okay, in the room. Okay, so so now you can make your roll the amount of healing that's done. I don't know what it says for the.
It just says cure wounds. I think it's a D6, isn't it?
No, it's more than that.
Cure light is a
I think it's
D6.
D8 and it's probably plus her wisdom. But
D8
I
plus
mean,
wisdom plus, and then 2 plus the spell's level.
So really, you don't
And it's
even need
first
to roll.
level, so it's 2.
She just heals up to full.
yeah, D8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier, which would be so 1D8 and your spellcasting ability modifier is probably going to be
Plus
1.
5. Cleric feature uses wisdom, so it's a plus 3.
Okay, so
D8
1D8 plus 3.
Plus, and then plus
Plus
another
2.
3 for the.
Oh, yeah.
So D8 plus 6.
D8 plus 6.
I'm gonna be okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, you get 13 hit points back. Unfortunately, you can only take 5.
I was just about to say.
I'm
What are those
happy.
hit points? It's a surplus. Save
Bigger
them.
than before.
I like you.
All right, so
You're
you're
like
back up to 10 hit points.
1.15
Corinne.
halflings now.
Now that you're feeling hale and hearty, you have one remaining book creature that you're dealing with.
Kill it.
Okay, so you're going to run up and try to. Are you going to do the same thing with the sword and then the punch?
Yes, if I may. So sword first. Jesus.
Natural one.
Can I not roll this dice anymore?
What did you get?
A 1.
That-
Okay, plus 5.
No.
6.
That's definitely a miss. You're like,
Okay, so next one is the.
Is dice shaming still a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Okay.
the unarmed strike. No, natural 20. So
wow, see, that's all. All right, now the good news for you is that the way that I handle crits is that when you get a crit, it means you get the maximum possible damage on that attack.
All right, which is 8.
The bad news is that they get to do that too, but the bad guys. But in this case, so it's 8. Okay,
8.
plus there's probably a plus to something, right? It should say 1d8 plus for the unarmed strike.
No, it was 1d4
Oh,
plus
1d4
4.
plus
So
4.
8.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
8. Okay. Yeah. So bam. So you just smash this thing. Now it's looking really messed up.
Okay,
you
I
know,
got it,
just
I got
again, like the cover's like bent in half a little bit, like wobbling.
Oh, just like a phone book.
And it is going to try to attack you, Corinna. This seems to happen a lot when you bash these things.
No, I can take it.
It's
I
gonna
got
undo
this
all
guy.
all the work that I
He's standing
did.
back.
This is a 14.
Arm class 15.
Okay, so you managed to,
Dodgy.
matrix out of the way.
And that was
and that leaves us to
rejoicing.
Shala.
I do have some
Okay.
numerous.
It's time.
You have the
This
nibble.
book. It's the end of the
It's
book.
the end of books.
It's probably 19.
That's a hit.
Nine.
Wow. Yeah. Wham! So you slam it with the sword, and you actually slash through the cover, and just falls to the ground, and
Remainders
lands, and an eerie silence settles over the room. And
No
you
more
are now-
whispering winds kind of sounding noises?
No.
Do you want me to try to patch you up a little bit, or are you okay? I've
I
got
mean,
I've got
you
one
know,
more
I'll
slot.
be okay. I'll be alright. I could probably myself if I needed, but I want to go look at the books.
Okay,
What the
yeah.
hell is wrong with these things?
Wait, what about the side doors? What are the side entries? Maybe they're washrooms or something like that.
Do they have like little dwarves and little halflings on
Well, I
them?
have to go look.
Go. Do you need to go?
But hey, it is a
Little
rule
halflings
in
room.
all dungeon exploration to always take every opportunity you can to go to the bathroom. You never know what'll happen.
You never know when you'll have the next opportunity.
You never know when you're about to go. You may need to go.
I trust you. I'm going to inspect the body. I mean the book.
I'll check out the nearest side entrance that we noticed.
Okay, so there is one on the east, one on the west.
I'll check the eastern one.
Okay. First, I'll come to you. When you look at the book, it looks to be, it actually has the cover of the book that you look at says Stinging Prose, Volume 1. And the inside, it seems to be some anthology of a series of satirical essays of some kind.
So, is there any indication that it was once lethal?
I'm sorry,
That it was once lethal or alive in any way?
Oh,
Would it seem more like an enchanted book or like a creature that looked like a book?
this does not look like a creature that looks like a book. This looks like an actual book.
Okay, that's unfortunate. So, are we just moving on to the next area because it might be a bathroom, or do we need to check out the books around here?
No, I'm just curious about, all serious, all silliness aside, just in case there are more promising looking areas. Because this place is a rat's warren of stacked books. It'll take us forever to look through here.
I mean, you're basically describing libraries.
Yes. Obviously, this was a library where grad students or something were assigned the task of fixing it, and we all know that never
And
happened.
they never came back.
No, they-
So-
Is there like a subject in common? Just glancing around to the books in here, are they like all on one topic? Are they all
They
busted?
do not. They
Oh,
do
this
not
is
look to be
not
like
going
one
well.
topic. Yeah, and there's hundreds of them. As you look to the east, by the way, Garvin, you can see that there is a door, but it seems to be just slightly ajar. You can't really see well through it. I mean, there's a gap between the door and the frame, so you can't see what is beyond it.
I'll get a bit closer.
Okay. When you come right up on top of it, it's very narrow, and you could obviously try to push it open, but it opens inwards from you. No lights flicker on when you come to this point in the room beyond.
I'll tap the door open with my foot, with my hammer at the ready.
You try to tap it open, and dunk. Seems like there's something on the other side. Dunk. Maybe you could push it, but you definitely couldn't just like tap it open lightly.
Before I get stupid, like players in Call of Cthulhu might do, and end up unleashing otherworldly hell on the rest of the party,
Just
there's a partly blocked door.
So my interpretation of that would be that this is another junk closet, and probably it's like a shelf of books. It's like fallen over, blocked the door, and maybe we should check the other side.
Fair enough.
All other things being equal.
It's like the sensible horror movie where nobody.
That looks dangerous. Let's not do that. I mean, we can
Let's
do it.
not split.
Everyone lives. Very boring movie, but everyone lives.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to go to the west.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When you go to something else, so when you go to the west, you can. There's no door on this exit, and you can see that there is actually a small room which has, as I will show you, 2 bookshelves here and a bookshelf along the bottom. And past it, you can see there is what looks like an oddly shaped room, although you can't make out the details unless you entered it. But as you come close to it, again, those wear lights flicker on dimly, but you can now
Yeah.
see that there's this area. So there's like
Sort
a
of
center
like a
passage.
cloister, like at those desks, or no,
No,
shelves?
these are bookshelves.
Okay.
Bookshelves, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
Is
guess
it more orderly in here than it was on the other
Yes.
side? This has been rifled.
It does
Possibly
not look
isn't
like
evil.
it does not look like it has been.
all right.
This is more like it.
Why don't we check the titles?
All
here?
right, start going out and
All
see
right.
what's on the shelf.
Okay, so now you're going in first to do that.
Oh yeah.
Which now you got this one, that like where you're going up here, here.
So
or
there's
here.
no bookshelves in the main loop?
There's there's a bookshelf up
You have to
here
go
and a
in.
bookshelf down here. There's a bookshelf here,
Yeah.
a bookshelf down here,
Okay.
and then
The
one
bottom
and
one.
one bookshelf here.
Go south. South.
So you go to this one down here?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go to the bottom row down here,
Yeah.
you look and you can see that there are books that are up here, but they seem to be sort of books that are flora and fauna, like descriptions of various plants around
Okay.
the area and things of that nature. Volume 1 to 35, you stop counting. You
Yeah,
know,
it's
there's
easy
a lot
to-
of them that are sort of bottom.
You
Okay.
can gloss that. I think that this is like natural history.
Timeline
Did we
series.
find out what the 5 principles of what?
You just said the 5 principles.
I hope it's not a flora and fauna because I'm not looking here anymore.
To me,
Principles refer to plants.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
to me
All
it
right.
sounds like philosophy. But
Check
God.
the other side.
Okay, so the northern side.
Yeah.
So when you go up to that, you find that up here you have what look like descriptions of more animals, specifically animals and creatures of the
Plants,
realm, etc.
animals. You know, for shits and giggles, I'm gonna go back to the planet side and see if there's a book on silver trees.
Okay. Go ahead and make it'll be an investigation check, which if you don't have that
Don't
will
have
be
it.
intelligence.
Oh, I'm really smart.
Okay.
Well,
You don't see anything in particular, but since they are sort of organized by category, like you look at this sort of, you keep looking around, they're not done alphabetically. So maybe maybe volume 12 was a great year for silverleaf trees. I mean, it's hard to know. It was a great time for it, but nothing obvious.
What about the 2 middle shelves?
So if you go into the middle shelf, so you walk, Garvin, into the middle shelf, and suddenly, so Corinna, are you watching him do it, or are you going with him?
I was going with him.
Okay, so the 2 of you walk forward, and then you suddenly find yourself out here.
Out where?
Back in the room with the tottering piles
Oh.
of books.
You do it again.
Okay, I'll try that again. You wait here.
No, absolutely.
So,
So you go in there, and all of a sudden, you just appear right next to him.
cool. Well, this is a quick way to get him.
What if we go around and come in from the other side? Well, because
If
you
they
can
walk
come in
in
from,
In other words, up this way?
up from the northern shelves and
Nothing.
around and come in the other side.
No, so nothing happens this way.
But
In
when
fact,
he
you
loops
could
back
exit this
through.
way.
No.
If you go like up here,
If he goes around and then back
Yeah.
through the center.
when you go through here, you appear right
Same
back
thing.
there.
Now, for those shelves, are there books on both sides of the shelves?
Yes.
Or just one? Okay.
Books and books. Yeah, it's two-sided.
Okay.
Can I take the books out and crawl through the shelves?
It might take a while, but I guess you could try. You don't also know whether that maybe they're a piece of wood that's,
In
it's
between.
divided basically
Yeah.
in between. So
Can you break a board with your fists?
Oh, probably.
you're gonna Bruce Lee the.
Yeah. So I'll take out some books and see if I can crawl through and get into the center aisle without having to go through either
Gotcha.
end.
Unfortunately, when you start taking the books off, you see that there is indeed a divider. So you would need to essentially.
Like-
Yeah, I
Board.
smash it.
Well, the problem is that you're going to be, despite your incredible,
Punching skill.
fist power, fisticuff power, it's unlikely you'll be able to punch through both the wood and the books beyond it. That would be very impressive and maybe much
Not right.
harder
All I have to do is push the books off the other side.
just by knocking it in
Yeah.
You
repeatedly.
tilt the
Can
whole
I
shelf.
climb over the shelves then?
You can certainly try to do that.
Okay.
Okay. I will ask you to make then in your skill checks, if you have acrobatics, that would work.
Yes,
Otherwise,
I do.
let's Okay.
Yes.
So I'll ask you to make an acrobatics check for me, please.
So that's a 20?
Yes, plus whatever the acrobatics is.
Ugh, God, I hate this dice. 8, 9, 10, 11, 13.
13, okay. So you're able to do that. It's not as graceful as you might have liked, but it still works. You get back up onto the top, and now you're standing taller than you ever have in your life.
Hey,
rather
hey.
You've
than-
never stood on anything
Terrible
before.
joke, I know.
No.
And you're sort of looking down on everyone else. And then what do you, so you're looking down on the middle section right now.
I'm gonna just jump right off.
Okay, so are you still, by the way, standing, Garvin, in the other room?
Yes. I
Okay,
am.
so you see someone like he just appeared in the air and then lands again, Avenger style, on the floor.
Okay, that whole area is trapped. So, but why would they have a teleportation system?
I bet that the books that are facing there are really secret and probably exactly where we need to be. Oh, I have an idea. Do I
Move the
notice this
shelves?
happening? Probably. Okay, guys, I got this. Okay, I'm also going to try to climb up on top.
Okay, go ahead and make, again,
I am not acrobatic, but-
You can do better
athletics.
than
It's
me.
strength, right?
That would be not athletics, sorry, acrobatics would be what we need.
Dex.
For the record, I'm just staying right where I am.
Okay, that's a 2.
So you're like, you're like, I can do this, and the books like fall on top of you as you try to do
It's
this.
a whole shelf.
Yeah, and so you're now kind of like
People
buried
die.
someone in books, and you,
So did the whole shelf tip over?
just the books. However, Shelley is going to take a point of damage from
I was going to say, can we see what's in the
You have been damaged by knowledge, Shelley. You won't be the first.
It's
Yeah.
a point of shame.
Learning is hard.
Can we tip the
Learning
shelf
Learning
over?
hurts,
is hard.
apparently.
So my students tell me all the time. And by the way, this is a good moment very quickly to reset and say welcome to all the Twitch folks. You are watching a one-shot of Dungeons & Dragons Night of the Forbidden Library. I am your host and DM, Greg Wilson, also Arvin Elrond for people on my channel. And
Can't see
these
you.
are our lovely players who are here and have volunteered for this. While many people are in the Aurora Wars, but we still have an incredibly enthusiastic crowd. Super enthusiastic. So,
Can
welcome
there be
everybody.
comments from the peanut gallery? Are we allowed to?
You can absolutely do that, as long
Okay,
as it doesn't override the players.
No,
but
I
sure,
didn't-
feel free to-
We like
Absolutely.
heckling.
I may
Oh,
even
we have
ask
permission, okay.
Yeah, I was asking for permission.
Yeah, absolutely. I may even ask them for certain moments where I may ask for the audience to jump in. That may even happen. So, but anyway, so welcome and thank you. I saw a couple people resub to my channel, so thank you. You're lovely people. Okay, so you are going to. So yes, these books are now lying on top of me.
Do any of them look like what we're looking for?
On focus,
Sort of
on
like-
point.
You kind of like pull one book up and you see a book which says Life of the Elephant is kind of on the top of it, and you're like, and then
Is
this,
it a big, heavy book?
yeah, very big and very heavy, yeah.
Bound in some sort of gray leather.
Exactly.
All right.
It's not made of elephants. It's terrible.
Elephant.
But
Doesn't that
anyway,
book belong in the trunk instead of the trunk?
I see what you did there. Well done.
Inspiration.
So can we tip the
That's the kind of
shelf?
work that gets you published by Dell.
Yes. Can we tip the shelf over?
It looks like it might be like sort of in some ways
Bolted
riveted to the floor. Yeah, bolted to the floor.
Of course. All right.
You could try to break it, but it's going to be hard. 'Cause you
I
get all
really-
those
Well,
books.
climb-
Well, there's 3 of us.
Why don't you try climbing on top instead of actually getting off on the other side? Just like peek
I'll lean
around.
over and try to see if I
Yeah.
can look at the books. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can definitely do that.
Okay.
When you look sort of upside down for a minute, you can see that the books here all seem to be things like atlases and maps and gazetteers and things that are sort of referencing geography, in particular sort of geological and geographical features of the landscape surrounding Hearthclaw.
We're definitely
Okay.
in the natural
Okay.
history wing.
I'm going to stop waiting and observing this wonderful scientific and sociological experiment that's going on. And I'm going to go around and then go into that unknown room beyond.
Okay. All right.
I have a
Wise.
feeling that teleportation thing is probably some part of some kind of arcane filing system to move books around or something like that. Might be like a
Elaborate
utility
Dewey
spell.
Decimal System.
They
Wow.
left it-
Like
they left
for
it on-
reshelving or something.
Probably,
Or
I've-
unshelving,
My
perhaps.
gut is that's probably, and all
Okay.
those stacks of books probably were teleported.
And I'm picturing the librarian standing at the end of the aisle and like taking books they don't want, pitching them into the aisle.
I think that's probably what this
that
is.
definitely makes the most
Yeah.
sense.
So
What's
when
your
you go into
intelligence?
this room, 10.
Oh, it's okay. No, you can think of that.
We occasionally
That's
can
smart.
we may be stupid teenagers.
But
but
the
we
person who
have
plays
flashes
the
of
half
insight.
orc, the one is just like, well, let me consider my deeply, really? Anyway, when you enter this large circular room, there is wispy fog everywhere, a kind of greenish blue wispy fog, and it's very difficult to see clearly, even with, if you were to, like, even your dark vision has hard time actually piercing it. It swirls all around you and seems to be particularly difficult for your vision to clear as you're inside this room.
I'll let them, yeah. I can't make much sense. It's too misty for me to really see.
Is it vampires?
What?
Garvin, make a perception check for me, please.
Okey-doke. This is
Well,
just
is that
active.
a class?
This is
Wisdom.
active
But
First
perception.
thing.
This is active, yeah.
12.
So you can just see through the mist these 4 little blue wear-lights, like the ones that you've seen, but they're smaller, that are hovering around the room, spaced roughly equidistant from each other.
Okay. Does this
Is it
just-
Will-o'-the-Wisps?
And they're in the air, not on the wall. It's important to note.
I see 4 lights. They're stationary though.
Are you sure it's 4 lights?
There are 4 lights.
There are no
Got it.
Cardassians here.
Branding.
Geekdom. All right. I'll relay what I see. And can I see anything else at all in the fog, or does it look like it's actually?
You feel like there should be things in the fog, but it's almost as if everywhere you look, the fog sort of swirls. The only thing you see clearly are those 4 lights, which you could get closer to if you wanted. Like they're in the air floating, maybe about 5 feet sort of from the ground in each case.
I think you should go in.
I'll go
Whoa,
further in.
hold on, don't go alone. I gotcha.
Okay.
I'm gonna go in right behind him.
Okay, Corinna, are you going in too?
Take a
Or are you staying out?
I'm gonna wait outside a little bit.
Okay. I'm just going to see. Okay.
I'm waiting for the screams.
I'll go run for help.
Screaming to stop.
We're running for help.
When you get close to
Teacher
these,
left us.
Garvin and Shala, the 4 globes of soft light, as you approach one of them, begin to drift towards one another in this synchronized pattern. They almost seem to be swirling towards each other. And when the 4 are joined, the combined light expands, and it grows into a towering phantasm-like figure of great height, which I happen to have one of my favorite pictures in the entire thing here.
Oh, he looks impressive.
Does he look
These.
friendly?
I would say not. Towering phantasm-like figure of great height. And
But you said it wasn't a vampire.
the humanoid figure points angrily toward your group, and he says, "What business do you have within these halls?" His voice just booms and echoes throughout the room.
We're looking for a book.
And he sort of pauses as he's staring at you. "This is a library. There are only books here. Which book are you looking for? Who has sent you? No one has entered this place for 20 years or more. Speak, it's the last chance you'll have."
The headmasters originally sent us here. We're looking for the 5 principles.
And he sort of kind of looks at you and kind of like, just kind of shakes his head. "What is this madness? 5 principles. Tell me what your name is. Who are you?"
I'm Garvin Stonebeard. I'm a humble student at this venerable institution of learning.
Now, when you say student, he kind of Student, what is the name of this institution of learning?
It's-
Hogwarts.
He hits a lightning bolt at all of you.
Hearthglow Academy.
I get that joke all the time. Hearthglow Academy. So he pauses and he almost seems to physically shrink a bit, like not actually, but his shoulders almost slump a bit. Hearthglow. It's been long since I've heard that name. Hearthglow. Yes. And he kind of drifts off into the side of the room. And now you can see that the wispiness of the fog is kind of all coalesced into his form. And you can now see that there are many shelves of books that are circling the room. Ooh. And he is kind of looking all around. He kind of drifts. Again, this sort of large figure drifting around. And he says, I had forgotten it has been so long. Yes. You have come here for books, for learning?
Yes.
And he says, none should have been allowed into this place. It is forbidden.
If I may be so bold, sir, what happened here?
I'm going to ask you to make for me a persuasion check. This is charisma based.
Oh, wow, okay. All right. 15.
So he kind of looks for a moment and he says, then he kind of sort of almost seems like he's sitting in place, but he's still floating on the ground. He says, what happened was a terrible mistake. I am Professor Artur Sorberin. I was one of 2 professors sent here after a terrible accident had occurred. Something had happened within the wing. We were sent here by the head of school. They told us that we must do everything we could to find out the evil and root it forth. And so I and my colleague, what was her name? He's like paying 0 attention to you at all. Like he's kind of just, what was her name?
I'm very patient.
Okay. So he's like, Professor Jail Ogion, that was her name, yes. She came with me and we found this terrible spirit. And then he looks and he sort of notices you for the first time, like, yes?
What was your name?
Oh, you gave us a name.
Artur's.
That wasn't the question.
I would then turn away. As I have forgotten. No, so he turns away and he says, we found a dread creature of shadow, a revenant, a horrific beast of vengeance. We came across it and tried to destroy it, but it destroyed us. Jail was doubtful. She said we should not attack anything without further means or knowledge. I said she was foolish. This was a creature of evil. But as the years have passed, I have come to know that she might have been right. When I woke here, I knew that I was gone from this world, yet not gone to the place beyond. I have been trapped here, as has Jail. Perhaps our penance is to wander these halls and think of what we have done. And then he kind of falls silent. Yes.
So, did you defeat the Revenant?
No. And he kind of looks sort of grimly down at his drifting form. Yeah, you can.
Are you saying that you don't think you should have attacked the Revenant? Because I'm pretty sure Revenants are evil.
He says, that is what I said, but
Were you not
there was
listening?
there was something different though. Even as it attacked us, it seemed reluctant, as if it wished not to do what it was doing, and there's something about a student and a teacher. I don't remember now.
Ooh.
Jail may remember. But I did find, and he starts looking around the room, like up and down, and kind of like moving around, his form kind of passing you. At one point, Corinna, he goes right through you, and you have this sort of terrified moment of looking, and then you feel this deathly cold as his figure passes through you, and then goes beyond as if you were hit with the coldest of all cold breezes. And then he goes through. He wasn't clearly attacking you, he was just looking around. And then he says, yes, here. And assuming you all turn to see what he's pointing at, on the top shelf, there is something which is glinting. It is a silver gold pin of some kind. And it's very familiar to all of you because it is the silver gold brooch that every student is given when first coming to Hearthglow Academy upon their matriculation into the school.
We have one too.
So
don't we?
are we wearing ours?
Yes.
Was this the student's pin?
He says, it may be, perhaps. Go ahead and make a history check for me, Garvin, but because he gave you a little bit of a clue, you can add +2 to that.
All right, yay! All right, with all my bonuses, that's 22.
You're pretty sure that you have seen a version of this before. It looks like an old version of the school crest. Not one that you're familiar with specifically, but it looks like the same kind of pattern. And probably you know that they update these every 10-ish years or something.
Do a
And
little
so,
branding.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My university's had like 4 of those so far. So yeah, so that is the deal with that.
So I'll relay that. I think this is an old version of the crest that would certainly, I imagine, it's probably changed a lot within the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Perhaps this could belong to this student.
That's really interesting. But what about our book?
This might be a key to help us find the book.
Can we ask him to find the book?
We did. I don't think he found it.
But he didn't answer.
But
He
sir,
seems to be
sir,
having a little bit of a memory
Well,
problem.
let's ask him where the
Professor,
resident is.
may
Yes.
I ask you once more? Are you familiar with the title, The 5 Pillars? Is it a philosophical work? Is it
5 principles. Right?
Principles.
The 5 pillars. I never. No, he said
Right here.
He said that one's right. He says the 5 principles. Now I never heard of such a book, but it has been so long, so many years. He seems very confused. You notice as he's having this discussion with you.
He's been dead a while.
Maybe perhaps I can help you. But recently embarked upon the spiritual path, but perhaps I can call upon my own holy patron to give you what succor I can.
He says, "You are welcome to try whatever you wish, Garvin, but I doubt very much that your patron would hear the cries of his acolyte any more than the gods have heard mine. There is some deep evil about this place, something that keeps us here against our will and wish, and his danger is here. You should not have been sent."
I kind of agree with that.
Well, I'm going to take a book. I'm going to try anyway.
Okay.
I'll just make a prayer on my hammer to ask forgiveness for whatever Artur did in life, whatever errors he may have made prior to his death. You know, his remorse is sincere, and whoever's listening to open the gates and let him leave if they will.
So you do that, and there is a moment's pause, and his sort of ghostly form kind of shifts back, and then you see, the gods do not hear us, at least not yet. Something must be dealt with here, but I am thankful for your assistance. It is, he stops, he says, "When I died, I was considered one of the great wizards of this school. Yet I was as much a fool as any student." And he kind of drifts off again.
That doesn't bode well.
Maybe we could ask where Jail's spirit is.
He's drifted off. Do you mean drifted off in the sense of dissipating or drifted off?
No,
in
just
the
like
sense of
wandered off into the room. Yeah, that.
Because if Jail is also down here, maybe
Yeah.
we talk to her spirit, she may provide us with other clues.
It'd be nice to know if he knows where the revenant is as well, because I don't want to go there.
What if you're
Maybe you describe
So,
it.
which do you want to? Oh, and I should say, by the way, that one of the people in chat is one of the people who is responsible for some of these character backgrounds, Miranda. So, hello, Miranda, welcome, and everyone who's watching. So, yes. So, what specifically are you asking?
I'm going to
Where is
ask.
Jail now?
Yeah, where is Jail now? Where was she last when he last saw her?
In the library, this wing, it would perhaps the south, the tree, past the tree somewhere.
We could ask.
I don't know.
That's where we are now.
I do not leave this room. I simply wait.
Do you remember where you were when you first encountered the Revenant?
The tree, and there was an opening and bookshelves, and to the east, perhaps and he kind of trails off.
Maybe we could ask that. Maybe that area where there was that barrier we couldn't go through. Maybe that's where the encounter with the Revenant took place. But we could ask him about the tree.
Oh yeah.
He's familiar with it, obviously, so he might have some knowledge that could help us.
I mean, what are we gonna ask him? Can we climb the tree? Have you ever climbed the tree? Is the tree worth climbing?
I'm a dwarf.
You can't
Dwarves
climb
the
the
trees. I can't.
Okay, no one.
Dwarves
no one
don't.
can climb that tree.
I thought you were saying I can't climb the tree, so no one climbs the tree.
That's basically, yes.
It cannot be climbed. I mean, you know, the tree is really interesting. Everything, but the tree, has it been there long?
For many years, probably centuries.
It's a powerful tree.
Yes.
What power does it hold?
Life, history, knowledge.
Yggdrasil.
Sorry.
I said Yggdrasil.
He just sort of, yeah. He's kind of like, you see, he clearly knows of the tree, but his memory, it's almost like listening to a radio go up and down and volume,
Yeah.
like he keeps picking up and losing it again.
So the tree is power. He won't be able to tell us how to use it. Why don't
No.
we try the southern branch?
Yeah, I think we're lucky just to have talked him down, frankly.
Yeah, talked him down, and he's grateful. So maybe when all this is done, I do, if we survive, I do
Get the
fully
place
intend to put
properly
it to rest.
exercised.
Yes.
I
So
agree.
he says, the pin, remember the pin. It was important. I don't know why, but don't,
May we take it with us?
yes, take
All right.
it with you, yes.
I'll
Well,
take it.
Okay.
Maybe our pins are tagged to who we are, and the pin will allow, it identifies whoever can walk through someplace.
Does
So
that-
let's try to go into the,
It's
between
a
the
building
shelves.
pass almost.
Yeah, it's like a pass, yeah. So let's,
Has that been the case in the school in any other sense?
No, it's one of those things where if you walk around in the classrooms, you're supposed to have. It's like our CanCon badges.
I'm actually
You
picturing
need-
like a Star Trek communicator.
Yeah,
Golden
not
pass.
quite like that, but it is something
Oh.
where you're supposed to. Yeah, you are that. No, you are supposed to have it on though at all times.
I presume we have ours on.
Yes,
Right.
oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
okay.
All right, so you're heading east and then back south.
Yeah.
If I understand. Okay.
Loop back.
So, when you folks all go back into the circular room with the tree, you go to the southern branch next, if I'm understanding
Yes.
what you're doing correctly.
Is that so? We've done. We briefly went into the other two directions. This is where the force field was, right? Or no, that was
Force
the
field
That was to the east, is where the force field was. You have not tried going to the south yet.
I have a feeling.
You wanted to go east and then said, quote, let us try north.
Yes, we did. That's true.
That's right. I think let's go to the south first. My gut tells me if we go to the east without getting some knowledge from the south,
Yeah. No, I agree.
we'll be in a world of hurt.
Let's go talk down another old
Yeah.
ancient.
Been there, you can help us out.
How come everybody who takes
Boy, have a
schools-
bottomless supply of healing spells.
Listen,
I don't know.
I'm a wizard
Yes.
Well, we can
Your
find out.
parents are gonna be really mad when they find out that the headmaster sent you to like such a
My parents are gonna be mad that I'm being taught by all these
Can I
wizards.
try to climb the tree again?
Yeah, really, think about it.
On the way by?
I'd be pissed
Yeah,
off
sure.
if my,
All right.
my,
Go ahead and
my
make that
teacher
check.
sent me on a dangerous quest, nearly
It's
got
just
me
like
killed
Kelly
by
Driver.
a book.
You're like my cat.
Oh, yeah. So what was it?
Oh, it should be acrobatics.
Acrobatics, it's there somewhere. I gotta find it again.
Probably.
There it is. So I'm 12.
Okay, so this time you're able to start climbing a little bit more. You get, up into the branches, and you continue. And as you climb, you keep hearing this tinkling of bells that I mentioned, and the these whispered words, almost like little breezes caressing the back of your ears as you climb. And you climb and you climb, and all of you, Garvin and Shala, assuming you stop and watch as Corinna's doing this, I don't know if you are, but assuming
Yeah.
you stop as you're doing this, you just see her continue to climb, and then
Disappear to shadow.
yeah, and you just keep climbing.
Corinne?
10
Corinna?
minutes.
Corinna?
Greta!
And the sound doesn't get
Yeah,
louder.
you hear them down below.
Wait, what about the tinkling? Does it get any louder?
No.
Does it get...
It does not. But the other thing is, by this point, you should have climbed up 3 floors at least, and you still don't see the top. Moreover, you keep hearing their voices at
Hey.
the
At
exact
the same
volume.
volume?
Maybe you should come down now, maybe?
Yeah.
We can't see you anymore.
I'll climb down.
When you climb down, within like 30 seconds, you're down again, even though you were climbing up for 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Tree, it's a life history. Maybe.
All right.
You're still injured. Maybe touch the tree or something like here. Or something.
But you did climb it. I want to be clear.
Yes.
You did do that. So, all right. When
I
you
feel
go
better
to
now.
Not that hurt.
So when you walk to
Hug
the
the tree.
south, in the southern side of the room, again the wear lights flick, and it's bright, this one's more brightly lit. And in the center of this room, it's not super bright, but it's a little bit more bright than the northern room, is a tall statue. And the figure of this statue is draped over by this sheet of old worn cloth.
Like as if it's a ghost. Does it have a little
No, it just is like a sheet. Like
This is
tarpaulin.
Jill, who never really died. She just felt a little left out. Okay.
She was always a little odd, Jill.
She's taking some personal time.
Yeah.
There's no bookshelves or anything in
There are no bookshelves here, but there are exits to the east and west, and then this big thing in the middle.
I mean, clearly we have to take the sheet off and see who's underneath.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Welcome's at the ready.
Okay. All right. Are you gonna pull it off? Hammer ready.
Yeah.
Okay, when you take it off, and you can see this is a very tall statue, by the way, about 8 feet tall. And when you pull it off, there's this glint of metal, and it looks, in fact, like this. It is a metallic humanoid, which is made of this silvery metal. And it appears to have lost one of its arms, as you can see. It stands motionless, and it's just like that. In case anyone's curious.
Yeah. Does it have like a nameplate like the other statues did?
It does not have a nameplate,
This is some kind of weird modern art thing.
Yeah.
but it's just like,
It's missing an arm though.
Does it look solid or does it look hollow?
it should be like that. It looks solid.
You
Does
were
the-
And also, it looks like it has, it also looks, as you can see, like it has these articulated joints, like in knees and elbows.
Are they
etc.
like? Do they look carved? Or do they look like they might actually move?
No, they look like they might actually move, or could move.
Where it's missing its arm, is it cleanly shorn off, or does that look like
Like
it had an arm
disjointed?
that was removed? or
It
cut
looks
off?
like it had an arm that might have been removed or cut off or broke off at the, at the joints, like, at the,
So are we seeing any pulleys or
nope.
How about weapon scars of any kind?
Does not look like it has any weapon scars that you can see. But I mean, you're only seeing it still, you just took the sheet off, so you're just looking at it from a distance.
Okay.
In fact, Shala, I think that's specifically you having taken off the sheet.
That's
Um,
totally me having taken off the sheet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
does it have a head?
Yes,
It
absolutely.
looks like
see
it's
it
wearing
from
quite
here.
a helmet.
Yeah.
This is kind of like what if you put an ogre in armor?
And it was 8 feet, yeah, that's true, 8 feet tall, yeah.
Would we be familiar with like golems and mechs and like is that a kind of thing that is around in this world?
Yes,
Oh.
it is possible for golems to exist.
Okay.
And the metal in particular, in fact, Shala, since you asked that, let me have you make, and if you have Arcana, I'll take that, if
I
not
do
just
not.
intelligence.
I
it'd be
have
fine.
religion and medicine. Okay. Intelligence. I'm
You're faithful.
Also, Garvin, you can make this also for a different reason.
7.
You're like, that is definitely metal. I've seen metal, and that is absolutely metal of some kind.
That's totally metallic metal.
Yeah,
Okay.
Metallic metal.
So just a straight perception roll for me, or
That would be,
insight?
no, for you, it would be also Arcana or Intelligence, if you have that.
I'm going to be a straight int roll. I don't have Arcana,
Okay.
unfortunately. Natural 1.
It's.
Are you sure it's metal? Because that might be wood.
Well, it looks like stone to me, he says.
Pretty sure.
That's a shiny.
How do you know it's metal?
How do you know? It looks like cheese.
Metal's tricky. It can, yeah,
So
exactly.
if it looks like the joints can articulate, if I grab like the hand, can I move it?
Do you want to try?
Yes.
So when you touch it, you hear shh, and it moves its hand, and it looks like it's trying to put its forefinger up to its lips, but instead it goes, and then lowers it again.
God, it's a derpy golem.
It's a damn librarian.
It's a librarian. Golem.
It's a derpy
It's a
golem.
derpy golem possessed by a librarian.
Are you going to misshelve your books with something like that prowling around?
It's just gonna knock everything down. Maybe that's what happened in the other direction.
Well, it seems a bit dozed. Maybe it knows where books are.
And you hear, books? Did you say books? And you hear this voice kind of emanating from it. It's very resonant. It has this kind of metallic, lovely. Oh, I can give you any knowledge that you wish. I am capable of giving you any information about any books in the library. I am here to serve you. Yes, indeed I am.
We are looking for the 5 pillars of
Principles.
Ah, yes,
The 5 pillars of principles. What?
the 5 principles.
Right here.
The 5, yes. Well, there are more than 5 books. Yes, principles. Well, that would have been kept perhaps in the northern wing. That would have been where the nature was. No, they moved those books. That's right. Perhaps in the southern portion. No, that's not quite right either. And he starts like rattling off like lists of possible things. And as he continues to go, naming every conceivable book and genre and subgenre, it becomes quite clear that he doesn't really have any idea where the hell the
while
5
he's
principles
rambling.
are. Yeah.
Is there any way to get him to stop talking?
Moreover, there's
Okay, moving on.
He doesn't seem threatening at the very least. I don't think he's coordinated enough
No.
to be any kind of threat.
Let's quietly move off to one of the side areas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you want any help finding any faculty members. I know all about the teachers here, and also know about, let's see, also the heads of school, and I can...
Sir.
Yes,
sir,
certainly. Are we doing this? What are we doing?
Sir,
He raises his hand.
Jail.
Jail.
Bait. What was her name?
Jail Jail.
Her name was definitely not Jailbait.
Jail, I got it. It sounded like Jail OGN.
Jail Ogian?
Geology. And he, yes. And he starts doing this thing where he's like trying to clearly move, and he
His feet
obviously
are folded.
can't. He says, do you have my legs seem to be rather frozen in place. This is what happens when you don't move for 3 centuries. Would
It's like
anyone
a
mind,
shame for robots.
do you have any oil or grease or lubrication that would allow me to move forward?
Oh, I have a bar of soap.
A bar of soap.
That's weird.
He thinks about it. Well, perhaps that might work. I don't really know. I'm not. Let me consider. And he's like banging his head, trying to apparently put his hand on his chin, not very successfully.
I'm going to use the bar of soap.
Okay.
Try to scrape it into the joints.
Okay, so you do that for a while, and kind of like scrape, and he finally. Ah, yes, much better. I feel almost like my previously agile self. And he starts walking off, gets off his little dais on which he is standing on his little stand, and then he enters this room to the east, and I will show you this room right now. It is a room over here, and you can see that there are several shelves and then
it's like the
another
other
shelf here. Yep, this whole thing feels like a mirror of
Yeah.
the northern side. And he immediately goes over to this thing, and there are like, I mentioned that there were lots of books up there. There are even more down here, and they just seem to be like a hopeless mess. And for a minute, you're like, oh my God.
Another one
But
of
instead,
these
he
rooms.
goes right to one of the piles and goes, whoosh, like with his one arm, and for all of his derpiness and like, not being able to do this thing with his, hold his chin or whatever, he works as if you're looking at an absolute factory machine, like sorting things up perfectly. And then he pulls out one, ha-ha! And he turns it around, flips it very impressively, and then catches it and hands it to, who's the one who asked specifically?
Not me.
Okay, hands it to you, Garden. And you see on the front, it says Faculty Records 1341, Part 2. There you have it.
Oh, what an interesting book.
Thank you.
Everything you'd ever need to know about Professor J. Logion may be found within that book.
Have you seen any other students in here
What's the other
lately?
guy's name?
And he sort of says,
Arthur
well, it's been a very long
He's probably part
time,
one.
but I don't believe so. There are sometimes creatures that swirl around here. There's that one odd thing to the north. It seems rather, well, sort of, and he stops and sort of thinks for a while, and he nods, and then, not well suited for contact with people. He's rather shadowy and
What do you mean,
fierce,
Professor?
and he's always going run and
Professor-
and
Professor
ah.
Arthur Solverin.
Professor Arthur Solverin?
Oh no, Professor Arthur Serverin. Well, for example, and he turns around and again, and he pulls out another book, and he hands it over to you, this time, Shala. And this one says faculty, this one actually does not refer to records. This one actually says the construction of the Hearthglow Academy Library.
Ooh.
And he says, now right there you can see that this library is very special indeed. Professor Sovereign did sometimes visit the library, but it has been a long time since I've seen him. He was always interested in the magic of this place and why the library radiates this extraordinary magic that you can see, or feel, or
do you think
hear.
you could maybe summarize this book just a little bit? Did he ever figure out why?
Well, there's I think, a font of magic below the surface of this library, and, well, supposedly it affects elements within it. You may have noticed these blue lights all around us. And he kind of looks around. Those are created naturally from this magic, and they have powerful effects on creatures, on books, and even on librarians. He dramatically poses for a while. Yeah.
So what
With his one arm.
So if you don't mind my asking, what happened to your other arm?
That was an unfortunate accident. You see, I was attempting to show something to a particular faculty member, whose name now escapes me. Very ill-tempered fellow, though. He grew angry at me, and suddenly he cast some spell, and the next thing you knew, I had no right arm. It was rather unfortunate. I used to sort twice as fast with both of them. But he was always, what was his name? Varnon Roach, something about a roach. Ratcher?
How long ago?
Roach, cockroach, perhaps.
How long
He
ago did
seemed
that
like one.
happen?
Oh, well, that would have been...
Vernon Ratchard.
Yes, that was the man. Probably 20 years ago. He seemed very angry, very put out. He was covered in sweat, and when I tried to give him the book he asked for, he told me I was a fool, and then zapped me, and well, then he bade me return to my stand, and there I was, and...
You know, it's
here I
not
am.
you. He's just kind of like that.
Oh,
What book did he ask for?
I don't know. It was, it was that very one, and he's pointing at the one you're holding, the construction of the Hearthglow.
He wanted this book?
Yes, I
Let's
believe
see if
so.
there's like a false cover, and maybe it's actually called The Five Principles.
Unfortunately not.
You've given us such wonderful assistance, but can you tell us the meaning of the tree in the main room?
Oh, well, that was planted by one of the original heads of school here, Aurencia Silverleaf. She was a powerful elven druid, and that tree was in part growing from the font of magic that I referred to. It was said in times of old that as long as that tree grows, no evil can truly take root.
7 times of old.
Yes.
And how long is 1 time of old?
He sort of thinks about it. I don't know. A long time, a very long time, but perhaps I could find details. There is a math wing.
No, it's
Perhaps I
okay.
could
It's
find
okay.
details.
Time
No,
fine.
He stops.
Thank you.
So
I retract my question.
the tree is growing on top of the magic fountain?
Well, or from it, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not a guardian, but not a gardener, but a librarian.
Makes sense.
Okay, well, we did find the gardening section.
He just looks at you and kind of nods like there's no idea.
Oh. Well,
So if I remember the tree, was there any roots exposed or any way to get?
No,
Okay.
did not
we
look
don't
like
need
it.
to get at the power underneath.
I don't think we do either.
He says, he also says, right over there, if you wish to find, there's other ghosts around here, I think, other wispy figures. There's one over there. I hear sometimes some strange roaring and movement and sound, but I pay little attention to it. None of them ask about books. And really, if you don't have a book question, you don't really have a question.
So where was he pointing generally with the other?
He kind of waved his hand sort of vaguely to the west, maybe on the other side of the room where you first found him.
Before we go anywhere, I'm going to look up Jael Ogian in the book.
Okay. When you look at Jael Ogian, you find that she was a mild-mannered Kalashite. She specialized in the study of undead phenomena.
Oh.
Good one.
Oh.
So-
And she was a
Like
member, of
Rose,
course, and
like-
also, she was a member of the faculty that was assigned to the library.
That's kind of in line with what the other guy said.
Yeah.
But she also was the one who said that maybe attacking the Revenant was not such a good idea. She would be the expert in those things.
She would be, but then maybe this librarian, this assistance droid golem,
Assistance droid.
this helper, this
3PO.
this protocol droid.
Yeah.
It was around when Jerkface sent, the Jerkface who sent us in here to do
Okay,
the
You
that
mean
is just
Vernon
disrespectful.
Bashar.
He's not a jerk.
okay.
He's just a little temperamental.
I have personal issues with him, but we'll discuss that another time.
Yeah, those are your personal issues.
Maybe this mechanized individual witnessed what happened with this revenant.
Maybe he did. Did you see any revenants? Have you
Revenants.
seen any revenants?
Well, there are shadowy figures here. I've never had any revenant. Well, there's the one who always yells and screams about vengeance. Is that what you mean? I hear
That
sounds.
one. Maybe that one. Where's
I've only
that one?
heard, well, I don't know. It's to the north of where my room is. Somewhere up there. I'm sorry,
To the
other end.
roaring.
Up there, somewhere.
Oh, the east.
These that we can't get.
No, he's sort of pointing vaguely northeastish.
Do we really want to find this revenant? Really?
Well,
No.
I think we're probably going to have to. I think we probably have to deal with jail spirit first.
So before we leave him, I'm just going to ask if he has any books on Proudborough.
This is Proudborough. There's Proud Ditch. There's Brave Valley. There's and he kind of runs through these names. He's like,
Sure you don't want to ask for any
perhaps
books on tree climbing?
something about Baggins. There's Baggins, Bilbo Baggins. I forgot about him. Yes. There was
You
that.
probably all have it. That
Something
baggage
about a
person
ring.
just gave us all a bad name. Yeah. Turn the Shire
Something
to
about a
Trader's
ring.
Traveler.
But you know, I can say that there have been many great books written about halflings, and many of them even who have been faculty at this very school. You are probably following in a very proud tradition, a proud burrow tradition, if you will. And he kind of looks around.
Bit of halfling humor there. What?
What do you mean?
I mean,
I
it's
don't-
only half funny.
He doesn't. He doesn't seem to get it. He may not have. You occurs to you he might not have been trying to make a joke.
Sorry, sir. So,
Yeah, let's go.
the moaning and groaning that direction?
Well, there's more moaning and roaring over there, and there's moaning and roaring over there, and he kind of points west and also
Like every
northeast.
direction.
Yeah, basically he's not super helpful.
It's a buffet of moaning and roaring to choose from. How do
Oh.
we want to fill our plates?
All right.
Why don't we go to the west one first?
Well, I still feel the east is probably inaccessible to us,
Yeah.
so let's...
Yeah.
Do we not have a book that perhaps contains maps and things for the whole library?
Well, the construction of the library, yeah.
With this one?
Yeah.
You want
Yes.
to read this?
Oh, no, maybe there's a helpful fold-out section in the back with maps.
I already asked him if he had a Coles Notes, and he was not a Coles Notes kind of guy.
Maybe,
I bet he'd read it to us if we asked.
God forbid, maybe
Oh,
there's
just skim it.
Is there anything in the book that describes that entrance that rebounded us?
And sort of looking at you don't see anything that says anything about something rebounding you. There's no reference to portals or gates, but there are definitely references to the magic. It keeps talking about the fact that the magic and the wear lights, those blue lights, are linked. And it also says that the magic and the blue wear lights work in strange and mysterious ways on anything and anyone that's in the library for an
For too
extended
long.
period of time, right?
Yeah. So some of these things, like the portal that beamed us away from the map section, could just be like naturally occurring phenomena. Like shittily occurring phenomena, but natural. Which could mean that there's worse ahead.
You think?
If there's no rhyme or reason, if there's no order, then how are we supposed to know how anything happens?
Should we just send our friendly helper back to his podium for the next person to ask him questions and continue on?
Unless you'd like to come with us.
Oh, I would love to accompany you, but you see, I have a responsibility. It is my job to organize, to keep things together. It is my job to act as a librarian.
There are for sure some books that need to be shelved to the north.
Oh,
There's a mess everywhere and 2 dead books.
whole stacks of
What?
books.
and And so he goes as fast as you can imagine going, which is not particularly fast, but he goes off in that direction. And you hear the
That's some
sound
good
of the
work done.
metal. You hear the sound of tortured metal screeching for a long way, like echoing off the walls as he heads north.
It's probably for the best, because if there's something that we need to hit with the sword in the next room, he might find that a little distressing.
We're going to give him purpose now.
You know what? That's true. We have done a good deed today.
He's been sitting idle for 20 years,
There's
at
nothing
least.
wrong with
Right.
that. Sitting and meditating on your job.
This is he's
No.
basically a robot. He's being denied his whole existential purpose.
He's
I
going
mean,
to clean up the library.
philosophically,
I
that's
know. They
torment.
shelve forever. Just think how long it's going to take him to shelve through that portal.
Well, I bet you any books there won't attack him.
They'll just keep teleporting back to the other area. He'll be like on an infinite
He'll
cycle.
be working forever. This is awesome. Oh.
This is awesome. We've done him a favor.
Give him purpose.
I don't think you guys are taking this seriously.
Maybe.
All right, so you folks are heading where? To
So
the,
not to the east, but to the nearest
the-
place that he indicated, maybe moaning and groaning.
Well, that would be the west if you were going to go there.
Okay.
When you look to the west, you see again. I've talked about how this is all a mirror, and
Yeah.
that's exactly how this looks. This room, this is
Oh,
where
yeah.
you have the little teleport thing, and you see
Yeah.
again these two shelves on north, south, and then these two shelves in the middle.
Oh, you know what? That might indicate that on that side, on the other
That it was
side,
another
that
room,
shelf may have fallen in, and that's why it blew up there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Supports my bad shelving thesis.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why the door wasn't open.
So let's definitely not go back there.
Yeah.
Let's wait for the robot to trigger that. I mean, yeah. Okay, so let's go through the other way.
So when you go, so this way.
Yeah.
So when you go straight through, you do not teleport anywhere, you just go straight through. And you enter a room which is again a mirror of the one above. It is large and circular, but it looks a little different because instead of mist, there are an array, first of all I'll show you the room, circle the room like the one above, but there are an array of books scattered about the floor of the room, and 4 of those blue wear lights floating in the corners of the room, halfway between the floor and the ceiling, not unlike the one you saw before.
Is it
But
misty like a
no,
mirror? Okay.
it is not.
Nevertheless,
So-
we can still coagulate.
The books on the floor, are they just randomly arrayed, or are they?
They look to be scattered, as if
Scattered.
they have fun,
They
right.
found it.
Mhm.
Let's start looking at the books on the edge.
Okay.
What section are we in?
So you're right here.
Yeah.
And the wear lights are basically here, 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 here.
Were we able to glance at the books on our way through, where the double bookshelf is?
Yes, these ones made reference to particular magical phenomena and also monstrous creatures as well.
Magical phenomena, like 5 principles might be in there.
5 principles of magic? It's as
Maybe.
much likely as the 5 principles of gardening.
But you do not immediately see 5 principles of anything, but that seems to be more magical in nature down here.
Okay.
So
Good to know.
so you got books here and books here. You said, and there's also books on the ground here and these 4 wear lights.
Okay. Do you want to do the edges first before we
Yeah.
go into the middle?
Let's do that.
There's 3 of us.
The edges have
I'll look
to
at the
go-
ones on the floor.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
So you look at the floor as Corinna, as you get to the ones on the floor, which are near the wear lights. The wear lights begin to rapidly swirl around the room, and then they vanish, and the books on the ground suddenly rise up and begin to swirl together. And they don't just swirl together in like some kind of maelstrom. They seem to be forming something.
A book
The
golem.
scattered pile merges together and settles on the ground in the form of a massive winged lion creature
Made of books.
of books.
of books.
Gosh, it's a library line.
It looks like, for all the world, a book lion or maybe a book manticore. And I actually have a picture here of this too.
I done good.
Oh!
What? That one's slavery.
You can see what it looks like. It does not look friendly,
It's a kitty cat.
and you can see that it is forming in front of you, and you can see that the lights here are one on each paw.
Remember what we were saying
All right.
about burning down libraries?
Yeah, I think this might be the time to start.
Now might be the time for fire.
Yeah.
No, it's too late. I've attacked the lights.
Okay, so you're attacking.
Distracted.
Are you attacking the lights?
Yes.
Okay. I will need you then, all of us, to roll initiative, please, as this creature is attacking one of you.
Initiative is equal to our what?
Dexterity.
Dexterity, but it might also give you just the initiative there. Not
10.
dexterity.
Yeah, it doesn't give us initiative. So 10.
18.
8.
Nice.
I'm
So
slow.
fast.
That's a healthy roll.
The fastest.
I'm as slow as that automaton.
You are. You are.
Different hammer you're carrying.
I know. Well, I'm not built for speed.
They're
I'm built
dangerous
for
over short
durability. And my
Durability.
charming
Charming
personality.
Nuts. Charming, not sincere.
Charming personality.
Also for your honey cakes.
Mm-hmm. Which I did
Honey
not
cakes,
bring with
honey
me.
cakes.
I can't believe you didn't bring any honey cakes.
Well, I didn't
Why
think
did
we'd
we
be
bring
down
you to
here.
these places?
I brought
for
soap.
long.
You couldn't bring honey cakes?
I brought so.
We can't eat.
Oh, okay,
Attention.
Shala. Shala, you were at 8 out of 12 hit points, I believe.
Yes, it was.
And your initiative was what?
10.
Okay, 10. Garvin, you're 11 and 11 hit points.
Yep.
Initiative?
8.
8. You were apparently stunned by the appearance of this thing. I don't blame you. Corinna, you're 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, then 18.
18, all right. So Corinna is definitely knows what's up. And what's up is Corinna. You are first to go. What would you like to do? This creature, you said, I'm sorry, you said you were attacking the werelites.
Yes.
Okay, so I will need you to make an attack on those werelites. Now you've got the 2 front paws, like right, left front paws, and the back paws. Obviously the front paws are a little bit easier to get to at the moment, so.
Whichever one is closest to me, I'm going to try to pry the werelight out of the paw.
Okay, not attack but
good.
pry?
What's that?
Not attack but pry?
But pry.
Okay.
That's interesting.
All right. Well, what I will need you to do then is, so the thing about the werelight, it's not a gem. It's like a glowing ball of flame. In other words, you don't know that you're prying anything. It's not like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's
okay.
kind of like I mean, you could try to like
I'm
grab
trying to
the
get the
flame and
light
pull it.
out of the paw.
Okay, then I think an attack on it is going to be the way to do that,
Okay.
almost as if you're slashing it free. So you're going to, so you'll make an attack on that thing.
Okay. I'm going to do unarmed strike
Okay.
on it, so let's try that. Oh, well, that would be a 7.
At least it's not a
You
1.
slap
Because it's unarmed, I'm actually going to give you advantage on this because you're doing something that is easier than if you were doing it with a weapon.
Okay.
Your
Roll-
fist
roll
will be
another
easier. So
D20.
roll it again. Advantage means you get to roll it again and pick the higher result.
A 7.
Wow.
So you miss, basically. Is like
Okay.
your-
Let's
the-
squander
Right, I
second
can get my bonus
chances.
attack.
and it goes, Rah! Okay.
Fuck off, thanks. 17.
Okay, I thought you were going to say 7. All right, 17 will hit. All right, so go ahead and roll your damage, please, for that bonus attack on arm strike.
Attack is 5 feet, it is 4 plus 4. 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so when you hit this thing, basically to pry it loose, you hit it and it just disappears. So now there are 3, the paw is empty,
Yeah.
and there's 3 lights on the, I think it was the right paw you attacked. So left paw and the back 2 paws still have lights.
Has it hampered its movement in any way?
Doesn't seem to, no, but that light is definitely all out now.
Alright.
Okay, that's going to lead us on to Shaw. And you've seen Corinna do that.
All right, I see Corinna do that, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can do that. I sword and shield it up and
Okay.
and take a swing at the paw.
Okay.
The other paw.
The other paw
lit
that's in
paw.
front of you, I assume. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's an 11.
An 11 is not going to get it done,
I'm
unfortunately.
surprised. Okay.
And that I can't give you advantage on because it's not on.
No,
So,
I'm
so that unfortunately does not hit. I assume you were staying engaged with it though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's not too
I'm
many
sword
other places
board
to go.
all the way.
Garvin.
Well, I think this is a very panic-inducing situation.
Could have lighted on fire.
I'm going to use Sacred Flame, which I noted, it's flame-like radiance, it's not actually flames.
Right.
Descends on a creature that you see within range, target must succeed dexterity saving throw or take 1d8 radiant damage.
Yes, indeed. Now, you should have a spell DC, spell saving DC in your skills somewhere.
Do. My DC is 13.
Okay, so your flame comes down, but this thing with impressive grace misses as the flame goes down.
Missed it by that much.
Damn it. And apparently didn't like that because then, and it comes at you to strike you.
Better use me, I say.
Light
and
some
it's-
regular books on fire. Just start a fire.
So it's going to attack you twice, Garvin.
All right.
1 for each paw. That is a 15 and a 24.
24 got me.
Okay. So the 24 is going to do 8 points of damage. Bam! You're smacked backwards. And it actually roar. That's better. Not
I don't suppose the Academy has a good insurance plan.
You are the insurance plan. Heal thyself.
Then we're screwed.
You can keep your insurance, it's fine. Okay, Corinna is up next.
I'm going to go for one of the other lights.
Okay, go ahead and do it because there's one that's still available to you in front.
In the front. So yeah, I'm going to go for that front paw.
All right, go ahead and make that attack again.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that a 7?
Well, no, actually, that was a 1. And when you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the dice and use the new roll.
Right, halfling luck, you can do that again. So
You rolled a 19, actually.
So I rolled a 19.
I'll allow that. I think that's pretty cool.
So really, the further you throw it, the better the
Those
roll.
are
Right,
the kind of
exactly.
contributions to the audience.
Go ahead and roll your damage, please.
Oh, look at that. That would be 5.
So, and then, and again, it disappears too. So now neither of the front paws has the light.
You can move
Does
to
he
a
at
back
least
paw
seem
because
kind of
you still
crippled?
move.
Oh, I still have one more.
Still have a move, yes.
So I'm going to do a back paw.
Okay. So you now move to the back. Now, this means,
we
just
all
so
need
we
to
get
duck?
I'm close.
I was just going to say, just so we get a visual. So the thing is now literally over. So you see Corinna kind of duck underneath, and thing is like on top of you, and it's just books, papers, like everywhere. And as you kind of are trying to get to this one paw, and it's like, "Rrr, rrr."
I will not be distracted and try to read any of those pages.
Okay. You see all these things about why halflings are great, like you guys think monks, awesomeness of monks.
Make money.
That would be 15.
Yes, that will also hit.
For 7.
And again, same thing. And then the light goes up. There's only one light remaining on its back, right, left, right, left.
Does it-
Rear,
You've
left.
kind of got this, right?
Does it seem to be,
I'm gonna kill myself.
any
No, this
issues
is- yeah.
moving?
And your boob is really
So we're just going to be like dark pretty soon.
dark.
Well, I'm taking all the lights away.
Okay,
In the dark
Shala, you
with
were
the
up.
manticore.
There is one of these lights left, and you see Corinna has vanished underneath.
All right, I'm gonna try to do like a super fancy twirl around
Like-
the side and slice his
Okay.
foot off in the gem.
I had this image of you in the slide underneath, like as you go.
Also that.
All right.
But I'm going more kind of around the side rather than directly
Gotcha.
under the claws of
Okay.
leaves. For pages.
Go ahead and make your attack.
Mother hecker, it's 11 again.
11 is not going to do
I
it,
know, I
unfortunately.
didn't do it last time either. It's fine, I'm distracting him. Get up,
All right,
Corinna.
Garvin, this is you.
Okay, it's up to me now. All right.
I think you're gonna notice
From
something.
underneath, you hear this faint voice saying, "Run away!"
Well, to be honest, in a situation like this, having taken this amount of damage, I'm going to heal myself.
Okay.
So
Nobody blames you.
D8, and then because this is Disciple of Life. So, oh my God. So that's 7 hit points back.
All right, so you're up to
10.
10.
That's almost full.
How
That's
many of
good.
those cures do you have left? You should.
This is I've got 2 slots at first level. I've cast Cure Wounds twice. I've exhausted my slots.
Got it. Okay. Just want to be clear, there is no healing that remains. Want to make sure you don't have that.
Lay on hands.
Yeah, we have lay on hands. That's true. No
Thank
healing
you.
from Garvin, I meant. Okay.
That's
so,
it. I'm useless.
Now it's the bad guy. So Manticore is it's a target-rich environment, and so it rears its back paws up and tries to slam them down on the two of you. Sorry,
Oh,
on
like a
I beg
rabbit?
pardon, on Corinna
How can
and
it lift
Shala.
both paws up at the same
He's gonna
time?
know.
It's
It's a rabbit.
on its front, so it
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Could be worse. Could be doing a butt slam on you or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be shitty.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
That's,
Nothing like being
Everyone's
pooped on by a
PG-13
monster now, is
So
there?
that is going to be a 24 on Corinna and a 9 on Garvin.
Oh,
No,
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 it's me. That was the other
I mean,
one.
a 9 on Sean, I'm sorry.
That's a pass. I mean, a miss.
Okay, and 24 on you.
Yeah.
Miss?
Did you serious? Are you serious?
No, you got me.
Okay. I was going to say, you're an idiot. Okay.
Okay, you are going to take 4 points of damage, Corinna,
8%.
and I am going to need you to make a dexterity saving throw as this thing comes slamming down on you. Now there should be,
card catalog.
there's no, yeah. So you'll be doing, that's right, so you're going to be doing that. You're going to make a roll and add the 3.
Okay, I can also have halfling nimbleness. You can move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours.
Yeah, that's how
That's
you
what
were
you used
able
to
to
get
get to
under
this
there.
side in the
Okay,
first place. But
so I
that
can't use that?
No, no.
Okay, so what do I have to roll here?
So you're going to be rolling a dexterity
So plus
saving
3.
throw basically to see if you can stay upright.
8, 9, 10, 11.
Nope. So you go bam. So it's got like paw on top of you,
Right.
like as you're looking up at this Manticore, and the thing,
heavy?
this blood, yes, it's pretty heavy, and the head, kind of the baleful head, like, leans down, so it's like
Like a
looking
cat
at
with
its back
spots.
paw at you. It seems unhappy with you, Corinna. Okay, and that's going to lead us to.
Corinna.
That was Corinna, yes. It's now your turn. So you are currently pinned underneath this thing. Now,
Am I pinned by the leg that still has the light, or the one that doesn't have the light?
the one that doesn't have the light, the one that does, but the other one is accessible to you. Like, you could basically, you can go over to the side if you want. So, like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead
Wild
and make
hint?
the roll, and I'm not going to give you a disadvantage on this because you are literally right next to it. It's just moving would be worse.
We believe in
Oh
you.
man, what's that? It's 9.
Okay. So you get, I think, the 2 attacks, right?
Yep.
So you have one more.
Make it roll.
It's tempting.
Ah, gee. Oh, it's a 1. Hey, but no,
Ooh,
I
ouch.
can reroll.
That's right.
You're gonna re-roll it.
What? Really?
To what is it? 9. That's 14.
Okay. That actually is just enough. So go ahead and roll your damage. You need it for
Wow.
So go ahead and roll your damage.
Which would be
Oh.
So
Out.
you strike it, and the last vroom, and this thing goes, and you can see that its mouth is open, and then, and the books all just collapse, like it loses its shape, and all the books. You're going to take 2 more points of damage as these books hit you. That's the bad news, Corinna. The good news is that this creature seems to be destroyed, and from as you're all sort of staring at this thing, this ghostly figure rises above it, and it looks to be maybe 5.5 feet, and it seems to be a woman, and
So look at the box
she
there,
looks at all of
The author
you,
picture.
and she says, "Hello, I am Professor J.L. Ogian. Thank you."
8. You're welcome, and thanks for your help, guys.
Thanks.
And you got all 4 of them.
She says, "Thank you for releasing me. This was the form I was cursed to keep until something would free me. But I deserved imprisonment here.
So how tall is she?
Cursed by
5.5 feet, maybe."
Oh, so we can almost see eye to eye if I stood up.
Um,
No, okay, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I was like, if you keep jumping.
And I might actually land wrong and take more damage. I'm not going to
May
do
I?
that.
Yes,
What were you cursed by?
a creature of shadow, child. It was our fault, though.
What's
a
happened?
revenant.
It was the Revenant.
It was a revenant.
So,
And she stops and then goes, "How would you know?"
oh, well,
We spoke to Artur. He told us something of what had happened.
Artur. He was the one who wished to attack it in the first place, but I was doubtful. It was a revenant, but it could not be a normal one. Revenants, when they are formed, usually arise from unjust actions. It must have a mighty will, but it has been now 20 years. No revenant survives this long without some quality, some force that makes it more than anything normal. And this place itself is filled with magic.
When you encountered it, had it already been around for 20 years, or was it new?
No, it was new and deeply angry. It came forward and shouted at us, told us that we were responsible. We made it what it was, and said he was a student.
That's what Artur said.
But-
It seemed reluctant somehow. There was a teacher involved.
Yes, he did not tell us the details. He said simply that someone had killed him here. Well, Artur did not believe him. He said he was a creature of evil and we must attack, and even as he did so, I could see the creature recoil as if horrified by what it was intended to do. And then it destroyed us. Artur was not to be trifled with.
your story doesn't jive with his.
Kind of jives.
No, because he said that he was the one that was reluctant to attack.
No, he said she was.
No,
Yeah.
No?
I
Yeah,
never
he was
misrepresented
foolish.
that.
Okay,
He said it was the revenant that we
The
were
revenant
attacking.
seemed
Yeah.
reluctant, so there's
Well, no,
something
because-
different about it.
but he was also reluctant and she wanted to attack the Revenant
Other way
first.
around.
No.
Other was it?
Yeah, it was the other way
Artur
around.
wanted to attack,
Yeah.
the jail was hesitant, and then Artur regretted that afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Should
my
have listened
intelligence?
to the woman who's an expert.
Too busy thinking about the tree. Paul.
Yeah.
We never asked for directions. We had
But you think the Revenant is still in the library and still angry?
I know it is, for it is what has kept us in these forms and imprisoned here, until it can have justice restored to it, or be destroyed. We will all be kept here.
How long have you been? So it's been 20 years you've been here.
Yes, 20 years. In fact, it was 20 years ago, this very night, when it all happened.
Who sent you in here?
And she says the previous head of school. He was a good man, but frightened. Far too frightened, far too worried of what others would think of this school. He told us to go in, find out what had happened. I never knew what it was that caused him to be so frightened, but there was something clearly wrong. I could feel it when I entered. Artur said we must simply destroy the evil and the rest would follow. But I always wondered what evil truly was. I doubted it more than Artur. She looks very, as opposed to roar, first of all, she seems much calmer, but secondly, she also seems much more together, like she's not anywhere
She's
close
noted the passage of time, which is unghostly of her.
Right, and also not like Artur.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe she'll know what the 5 pillars. Maybe
The 5
good
principles.
Principles.
I'm sorry to wonder if the book exists.
They've renamed it as a copyright problem.
There we go. I'm vindicated.
Have you ever heard of a book called The 5 Principles?
5 principles. No, I don't believe so.
All right. Did you know the student who had been killed here? Do you know anything of him? Have you seen one of these? And I'd pull up the student thing.
And she kind of looks, that is, yes, it is a student brooch. Those are given to all of them. All of the students
Ours don't look
come
like
in.
this anymore. Would
No,
you
they
know when they
don't.
were using this? Did they look like this when you were a teacher?
Yes, 20 years ago, those were the ones they gave to the students.
But you show the Revenant that pin that probably opens.
Just give it back.
Maybe, who knows?
Here's your pin. Calm
And
down.
she says,
Maybe it might work.
she says, who gave you that pin?
Arturus.
Artie.
Artie. Artie did.
Artur? 5 pillars? She says, wow, if Artur has given you a gift, so must I. I found this in the library before I was imprisoned in the form you just destroyed. And she turns and kind of hovers over near one area of the shelf, and you can see there is this very slightly glowing piece of wood, maybe about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet in length, perhaps.
Does it look like
And
a
it-
wand?
No, it looks to be like a broken piece of rather thick wood, as if it might have been, let's say, a staff.
Okay.
If you want to look at it, you have to get closer to it if you want to. Do you want to?
Yeah, definitely.
So when you go over to it, you can see that the wood has got. Actually, make a perception check, everybody who's looking at that staff for me, which is wisdom, by the way, if you don't have perception.
20. Oh, even more than 30,
22.
actually.
30? Oh my god.
17.
All right. So all of you are able to see that there are what look like runes carved along its outside, and all of you know enough as students to pretty much take a good guess
It's like
that
a
that means it's a
wizarding
wizarding staff. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but a shattered one.
Like
And
student
so-
issue, or like it may have belonged to a grown-up wizard?
You have never seen runes like this on on a staff that was given to students. But, Shala, if you make me a history check or an arcana check, I'll take either.
I will history it up. 12.
You are pretty sure that those runes are, or runes like them, are put on staves given to graduating students.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a theory, but I don't like it.
What's the theory?
Well, I mean, 20 years ago, somebody murders a graduating student here for whatever reason.
Chops the arm off a robot. That was
Well,
20
that
years
would
ago.
be
That's
Same time frame.
it would be the same time frame, but that was Professor
guy who gave us detention, and he wouldn't do that because that would mean that he sent us in here also to be killed, and that would be ridiculous.
But
Oh,
20 years ago,
Well, how do you know Vernon Ratchard doesn't want us
Worst
dead?
principal
At 20 years
ever.
ago, he
He
would
has
have been
been
a
our
student.
teacher for 2 years.
He's a teacher.
Oh,
And now he's
yeah,
going to
worst
kill us just
teacher
because
ever.
maybe we were kind of mouthy in class.
How old is this guy?
He
Which
definitely has
guy?
been around a while.
Vernon Ratchard.
Vernon Richard, 20 years ago, he would have been a teacher here,
That's
not a
okay.
student, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's older. He's been around. He's...
For all we know, Vernon Ratchard
Yeah.
was one who murdered.
You know, we're high school students.
Yes, I
Everybody's
know.
old.
That is a little bit unfortunate. But
Don't
once
you
again,
have a book about that?
if he's a murderer, do we have to have detention?
The Breakfast Club has taken a decidedly darker turn.
For the
record. For the record.
We're having a lot more fun than
If
if we
he's
Judd
a
Nelson,
murderer.
Judd Nelson is the revenant.
Yeah. If he's a murderer,
thought
I
that
would
was
say we don't
Leonardo
need to have
DiCaprio.
detention at all. We could just leave if the door were unlocked.
Maybe we can get the remnant to help us kill Vernon. There we go.
We could suggest. Wait, no.
I have
This
issues
is a
with him.
wild miscalculation. If we're wrong and we send a revenant to kill our professor, I would say there's no coming back from that.
I have reasons.
Did he do something wrong?
That's a big, yeah.
I will talk about it later.
We're not the touchy-feely part of the Breakfast Club yet. Fine.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Someone
God.
has to make a dandruff painting first.
Well, it's not going to be me. That'll be it. With the beard. So let's try to go to the east. If, in fact, that is the student in revenant form, I don't feel like just talking him down like we did with the other prof might be ambitious. Maybe we could ask the librarian if he's got any books on containing undead or something. Call him undead. That must be a spell.
Wait a minute. Well, if I had more spells, but Jael was a student, was specialized in the undead.
Maybe she knows something?
Maybe she knows, but she seems to be more together
Yeah.
in a metaphysical and spectral sense.
How would you recommend we speak to an angry revenant who maybe doesn't need to be so angry?
The way that one speaks to any angry creature, child.
By running away?
What kind of paladin are you?
Not the kind that runs away. I was just saying that's what people do.
By
Survival parent.
listening. If an injustice has been done to it, the first thing to do is to listen to its injustice.
I mean, we could try this.
We need to make it feel heard. There we go.
What if it attacks us anyway?
It may attack you and destroy you. So you may destroy it first, as Artur wished to.
That clearly didn't work.
But even if you could destroy it, there may be no justice for this creature.
I don't feel like dying to give it a sense of justice. However,
Let's see if we can get out and get some staff to help us.
well, with like our teachers or like the
Sure.
librarian.
No.
Just leave.
Let's do our teachers.
Mr. Vernon, Mr. Vernon, this is too hard.
She
No,
says,
we have to do this.
she says, Vernon. You mean Vernon Rashad?
Yes.
He sent us here.
She kind of,
You talk too much.
He's the assistant headmaster.
he's the what?
Assistant headmaster. We have to do what he says. It's kind of a rule.
He was only a teacher when I knew him.
He's in ranks, not from the.
He's been promoted.
Promoted.
What
Promoted.
has happened to Hearthglow if someone like Vernon Rashad has been elevated to that position?
I mean, he's cranky.
He was always angry.
Well, he did rip the arm off the librarian.
He gave me a detention.
She nods. A terrible fate.
A terrible injustice.
Just tell us
Rise
it's a
to the
fate worse than
revenant.
the
You will
actual
rise.
You didn't like him then?
No.
Do you think
nobody
he's
did.
capable of murdering us
And she
by
kind
locking
of
us in a haunted library?
is hard to imagine that, but
All right, good.
Here you are.
she kind of, but if, and she kind of pauses and says, I should not say this about any teacher, living or dead, but if someone asked me to believe between Vernon Rashad and that thing, I don't know that I would believe Vernon.
So far, that you talking about that being like the revenant.
She says, even some, you see, some believe that the undead must by definition be the wrong, the evil. But I have learned that the undead, like the dead, are complicated. And sometimes the living can be just as evil as the dead that follow them into the land beyond.
So while she's yammering, I'm going to pick up that section of staff that nobody's bothered picking up yet.
Yeah.
You do?
You should take those with us.
Yeah.
I'll put it in my backpack.
Okay.
I guess the question is, do we
With the
feel
soap.
good about our ability to listen our way out of a revenant?
Well, I don't think there's any other option.
All right.
And there's three of us, and there's only two of them, right?
What,
The
revenants?
teachers.
Oh,
So, I mean,
the
we have a
teachers.
better chance.
We don't have to fight the teachers. We fight the revenants.
No, the teachers didn't. There's two teachers against the Revenant, but there's three of us against the same thing.
Oh, I see
so
what
we
you're
have a better
saying.
chance.
So we're more powerful than two teachers.
There's a chance
Sure.
that one of us
Why
can
do we need
survive.
detention?
Because
Yeah.
we all have our destinies, and
Yeah.
this might be it.
You know what? You're right.
Yes.
Absolutely. I would say it is our destiny to listen our way out of this revenant or possibly kill it if we have to.
Yes.
Let's go listen to a revenant.
Revenant
If it'll let us in, there was a force
If
field.
we can listen in class, surely we can listen to a wailing spirit.
We have trained for this.
There's
All
a difference.
semester.
Maybe not you.
I mean, listening in
Maybe
class,
not-
like
maybe-
listening how well would you say? Okay.
Plan for this through every 1000C class I
Yeah,
ever had. So you folks are going to head, if I understand this correctly,
To
you're
the
going
force
to the
field
parks.
room.
Okay.
Mhm.
So as you leave,
Thank you, Yael.
she kind of
5%
raises
battery.
a hand and says, "Be safe, children. Be safe."
Would you say it's safe to talk to the revenant?
And she goes,
Oh, shit.
okay, so you walk past the books, and up as you go up into the circular room, there is this again entrance or exit, I should say, that goes out to the east again.
Okay.
So now you're going to try to go in.
We're going to try to
Pause,
see if...
pause,
Pause.
pause, pause. You have
Battery
to
up.
fix your battery.
Do you need a battery?
I have to fix my battery.
Can I try to find the tree again?
It's at 5%.
5%.
Do you want to borrow a battery? Here.
Welp. Thank you very much. This thing should have been charged more than that. It takes so much. Is it working? Yeah, okay. Hopefully that will last. I hope it'll last. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, thank you. Okay. So,
peanut gallery.
on we go. So,
Okay, to the east.
so to the east.
I can't try to climb the tree again?
If
Apparently
you would
that's
like
my
to,
job.
you're
Third
welcome.
time's a charm.
Wait, the second time was a charm, though. You didn't
Yeah.
fail. You actually succeeded too wildly.
Maybe she
So
won't come
wild.
down this time.
That's bad.
True.
All right, I won't then.
But he's really good at punching.
You know what? I'm kind of hurting though. I'm in pain.
You're in pain.
I think those are just bruises and they don't count. I'm
Okay.
not laying on hands that.
No, I hurt. I have 4 hit points left.
I have soap. Are you serious?
Yes.
I mean, like 4 of what? Of
I
6?
was stomped on.
by a magic
Yeah,
wand.
yeah.
Oh, there was that.
Looks heavy.
Wait, I may have
Still hanging in there,
one more thing
barely?
here I might be able to
I
try.
have one Hail Mary and I'm just not sure we're there.
I may have something that,
Just to save.
but if
Battery.
it does work, this is the
damn you.
last
Okay.
thing I've got. And it might not do very much for you.
Oh, yes, actually, you do, if you're a light cleric. Channel Divinity.
Oh, I have a
Don't
healer's
have it.
kit. What's that give me?
You're allowed to stabilize someone when they fall down. You're able to treat poisons or diseases.
Basic first aid.
You know,
Spare the dying.
yeah.
I'm well past a band-aid stage.
I can stabilize you if you hit 0 hit points.
No, that's somebody who.
I'd rather not.
Yeah. But that's
the
the only thing I've got left is spare the
Oh,
dying.
all right.
Well, okay, I'm rooting for the monk, but that's it.
You know, you were a little selfish. Keeping yourself.
How dare I heal myself?
So,
I'm just a mobile first aid station.
so when you go up to the door and you walk through, now who's walking through first, second, third, or whatever?
I'm last.
I'll go first again. I've got the
I
shield
heard-
and the hit points.
Okay. When you get up to the ward, you hear this, vroom, like just quiet, like almost something winked out, and
Like in Star Trek when the force field goes down.
basically,
Whoosh,
and then
whoosh.
you were able to walk into it, and you see this very large, probably the largest room you've been in, a long room. I think I can probably zoom it out a bit. Yeah. So you walk in here, and you can see
Okay.
that there's like this, right? And shelves all along up north and south.
Okay.
And the now familiar wear lights, but there are over a dozen of them, float about the room in this slow circular pattern. And as you enter the room, they slowly coalesce and spin around this gaunt form that
Like
is
how many
stalking
of
out
them
of the
would you
shadows.
say?
12.
So there were 4 on the other guy.
And they
12
all
here.
coalesce and spin around this gaunt form that is stalking out from the shadows. The form is that of a young human male with long dark hair and eyes that blaze with a deep blue fire. His mottled skin is pale with a grayish hue, and he looks like that.
He's kind of cute.
And he comes stalking towards you, and he says, "You! What are you doing here?"
We're students at
Earth glow. Earth glow. Earth glow.
How dare you say Hogwarts?
Give him back his pen.
Wait, we brought this.
And so as he walks, and he's like, sees that, he says, "I'll bet you're students. You were sent to finish the job, weren't you? To fulfill the professor's wish, doing their job for them, carrying their water, perhaps getting them some books. What pets have they gotten these days?"
I mean, we're very good students.
And he kind of stares at you. "Of course you are, because you do exactly what they say, don't you? Everything the professors say, you do.
Well, if
Just
we
like
did, we
good
wouldn't-
little
Complimenting
pets."
us?
If he did, we wouldn't be in
I believe
detention.
this is sarcasm from the grave.
And he kind of sort of stares at you and he says, "Tell me what you're doing here before I destroy you. It'll make the task more pleasant."
We were sent here to retrieve the 5 principles.
Oh, well
If
done.
you had said pillars, you might have.
It's funny 'cause I got
However,
the 5 pillars
however,
here.
from our experiences, we have learned that a great injustice has been done here. An injustice to a student. A great wrong that needs to be righted.
A really handsome student.
And he sort of, so there's a moment's pause, and this blue flame-eyed creature just sort of looks you up and down and then slowly walks towards you, Garvin, and comes right up and
I
says,
don't move.
stares you in the face and sort of says, "What is the name of this student of yours?"
I told you we should have got his name.
The other spirits we spoke to couldn't give us this person's name, but they gave us what we believed to be his pin.
What
And
do you
there's his
mean?
staff of a
Okay, so you pull that out, and then do you pull out the?
Yes.
So he sees both of those, and he kind of. Yeah. This is a trick. It's one of Rashard's tricks. If you want, Garvin, well, you tell me what you're going to do. You just.
Okay, I'll just, if there was any trickery, we were not aware of it. We spoke to Artor and Jail, the departed professors. They regret what they had done. They had acted in error, and they realized that they should have tried to help rather than to put what they saw as an evil to rest. We can correct that error. We would like to put all to rest, to end this lingering evil that is within this place. From what we have learned, a deed of evil was done 20 years ago. We do not know what it is. We do not have all the pieces, but what we do have is a willingness to help and set things right.
He kind of pauses. I need you to make a persuasion check for me. You're going to do it at advantage.
Okay. Okay, that's a 12. And that one is a 13.
Okay. But you got 13. When you say that, he sort of waits, and there's a sort of moment, and you can see the blue eyes flare. And make a perception check for me also, Garvin. Actually, all of you can make that. Perception check.
26.
21.
Okay.
12?
All of you, but especially you two, can see that he seems to be, as you're
Always
looking,
picking on the short people.
almost dimming and then brightening again and then dimming, but it's erratic. It's like it's almost like watching a light with sort of like a light that has maybe almost like a short circuit, like you're right. And so he says, It's been a long time. And he kind of walks on. 20 years ago, Rashard was my teacher. He always was angry with me. I was better than he was. Even as a student, I was always better. I was the best one in the class, in the school. He got angry. He told me I was mocking him. One day he brought me down here to the library. He said he had something to speak to me of. When I came, he accused me of deliberately trying to mislead him and the other students, to mock him, to make him look foolish. I told him he was wrong. He told me to be silent, and I would not. And then he drew his staff back. I remember a shock of lightning struck me, threw me backwards. I smelled scorched skin. But I would not die. And he stands up, and you can see like it's getting even more and more erratic, right? And he says, I rose and faced him, and he grew terrified. The coward fled and closed the doors behind him. Then they sent in the other professors. Servern tried to kill me, and no one would kill me. No one will do it again. And I killed them both. Since then I have been here for 20 years, holding on until my vengeance would be complete. But this night feels different. And he kind of reaches out. You can see these like really flickering badly. I don't know if I can hold on much longer, but there on the shelf. Look. And he gestures to the shelf, and there's bookshelves left and right of him. That bookshelf, like here, and he points to this one. So if any of you go over to look, which you can if you wish.
I rush over.
You see that it is not a book, but a journal of some kind.
Is it called 5 Principles?
It's called the 5 Principles.
No.
It's just a journal. You can open it if you want. But I mean, that's what it looks like.
Flip.
So it is filled. As you look quickly, you can see that it's filled with reports of problems with a student whose name is Caleb Ironcloak, and that this Caleb Ironcloak was causing problems. And you realize suddenly that this is not Caleb's journal. It is Richard's journal. And in the journal, he talks about how he can no longer accept the mockery and the disdain of this student who pretends he is better and higher than he actually is, and that he must be taught a lesson.
Does it read like the ravings of a paranoid narcissist?
It definitely reads like the ravings of a narcissist. It definitely reads like the ravings of a narcissist. It does not necessarily look like, and I will kill him. I mean, it doesn't
God,
say
it's like
that.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Right. And Caleb presumably says, you see, this is what he felt for me. And so I have sat here while the dust gathered and the ghosts swirled. Now all is over. There can be no justice now.
Can we bring you justice? Is there anything we can do for you?
And he kind of looks up, and there's a moment where you just see, like, of course you don't really see his face more as you see these blue eyes, but they kind of glow blue. And he says, tell the truth.
Done. Yep.
I mean, yes.
Absolutely.
He will try to destroy you.
Well, we have the journal, we have this broken
Vernon.
staff.
Professor Vernon?
Rachad may try to destroy us, but the truth is more important.
Is there a way to get out of the library without going through the main doors?
Yes. And he kind of stands up and he walks, and you can see that he's kind of like, sort of like,
Shambling.
yeah. And that was much different than when you first came in, where he was like, badass, so he walks over.
Favor or not.
He walks over to the northern side of the room, and he puts his hand on one of the books that's on the third shelf, and he pulls it out, And as you look at it, Shadow,
Yes!
on the spine it says the 5 principles, but it is actually just a book you pull back, and then the shelves open, and there is a spiral staircase that goes up.
I bet this takes us to the graduation party.
I hope not.
Nope.
And he says, there is not much time.
Wait, why? We've been here 20 years.
My time is almost come. I cannot stay.
Oh shit, sorry. Okay, quick,
Let's
quick,
get to the
quick.
headmaster and tell him.
Let's upstairs.
All right, so
Let's
he,
start with some paper.
so as you begin to, so you go up the stairs, and as you get up to the stairs, you hear,
Hey, woo! Yeah!
exactly.
Party.
You hear that, and actually then you hear there's that sound of partying, and then you hear this sort of hush, and it sounds like someone, you can't quite make it out, but you hear like, and then everyone applauds. And it's right above you in this trap door above.
You're totally gonna be valedictorian.
Yes, the time is now.
We make
Okay.
our entrance.
So when you open the trap door, you pull yourself out and find that you are literally in the middle of the hall where the anniversary revels are taking place. And you can see that Thaddeus Caleriton is, the head of school, is upstanding in front of everyone. And then he stops as he sees you, and everyone is like, and no one is more sort of shocked and angry to see you than your old friend Vernon Richard,
Anger seems
who kind of just
natural.
glares. And Caleriton says, "What is the meaning of this?" And Richard says, "That is an excellent question. What are you doing? You were sent to detention." And Caleriton kind of looks at him and looks back at you. And Richard says, "My pardon, head of school. Apparently some students do not understand the meaning of doing a task which has been assigned them. I will take care of..." And so he starts kind of walking towards you, and Caleriton puts a hand on his shoulder, is like, "Wait. Explain yourselves. What are you doing here?" Now everyone, all the hundreds of people are all sort of staring at you. Especially you, Corinna, like, I'm just joking.
I'm immediately
Forbidden
uncomfortable.
library.
I'm just joking. So he's staring at you.
All right, we tell him the whole story. Or I
Just-
tell him the whole
Yeah.
story.
He sent us into the Forbidden Library to our almost certain deaths.
They are lying! And Caleriton says, "Silence."
I'm not even capable of lying.
Well, and we never put away the broken staff or the pin,
Right, you
so
still
they're
have it.
visible.
Right, so Caleriton says, "I don't understand. He sent you into the library. What are these things?"
This is the staff that killed Caleb.
Or it's
What?
it was Caleb's staff.
And you hear a couple of people talking, and you look over, and it might be like older professors, like who've been here for a while, like they're like, you know, and Caleriton says, What do you mean this killed Caleb?"
This
we
is
met the
Richard's
revenant
staff.
of Caleb Longcloak.
Iron Cloak.
And he told us everything that happened in here, in the library, all those years ago.
"What happened?" And Richard says, "There is no need for this nonsense." Caleriton said, "I have told you to be silent once." Now, Caleriton's one of those guys that anytime he says something, you're just like, you know, like, he does not, you know, and so everyone kind of immediately falls silent. And a lot of people look at each other, so you can tell students in the room are looking at each other because Caleriton has never said anything to a faculty member that they've seen, even for the few months he's been here. So anyway, he says that, and Caleriton, Richard, like if looks could kill, you know. Okay,
So what if I tell Jayla's and Artie's story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So he says, "But this is incredible." And he kind of looks around and looks at Richard, and he says to Richard, "Is this true?" And Richard says, "No! It's the ravings of a group of students who should never have been allowed in this school. They were in detention to begin with."
We can basically prove it.
If they were your
Nicola-
It was
ravings,
the journal. We
send
took the journal, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
The
Caleriton
ravings
looks
maternal
back and
lunatic.
says, "Your proof is this?" Now, Richard, you can see his eyes widen a little bit as he sees the book. Okay, I need someone, one of you, to make a charisma.
Minus 15. What is it?
You're,
I'm really charismatic. You guys
you're,
totally
you're,
know
more,
it.
you're more charismatic than we are.
I am definitely the hottest person here.
Yeah.
I just
Exude
found a typo.
charm.
I'm glad I found
just
it.
because you're tall.
Yeah, well, sorry. Everybody knows short people can't have high charismas.
So now I'm going to tell you what. So you're going to be making the persuasion check, right?
Yes.
You're going to be doing this with a couple of benefits.
Okay.
The pin means that the difficulty check is less than it would have been.
Okay.
And the journal means you get advantage also.
Okay.
So you have advantage on the roll, and you have a somewhat easier roll.
Okay, and it is a persuasion roll?
And it's persuasion.
Okay. And the persuasion is not a plus. I think I get 2 rolls for the.
Yeah.
Okay. 8.
Jeez.
I'm doing another one. 7.
What?
I rolled a natural 3.
Wow. Okay, so you got an 8 and a 7.
Everyone's like, oh, Shell is talking again.
And is anyone else, by the way, as she's talking, is anyone else saying anything? Like, are the two of you
I start doing really
just
terrible.
nodding furiously?
Well, I'm saying, can't you identify whose staff this belonged to, who this staff used to belong to?
And he sort of like looks and he kind of holds it up and kind of stares at it. Make another persuasion check. You can add +2 for that.
Woo! 26. No, 23.
Ah, it's a good thing you brought up staff. So he sort of
That's part of the story.
So Richard says, "This is madness," and Claritin's kind of stares at him. Madness! And he grabs his staff and he brings it up like he's going to bring it down, and Claritin says, "Stop." And everything in the room stops, including Richard, like this.
Well, he's anything blood.
And Claritin just sort of stares at him, and then
Do we freeze as
takes-
well?
Not you.
Oh.
Can't breathe.
And he takes the staff out of his hand and he tosses it to the ground. And then he, sort of like barely nods, just, and everyone starts moving again. And Richard Claritin looks at 2 of the wizards and says, and just points at him. And the wizards are like, and they get up, immediately walk over to Richard, who is just sort of staring at his hand, and then look back at the staff. And Claritin says, "He's to be put in the 3rd wing. I will deal with him later myself, and the city officials will be let to know what must
That's not
happen."
the library, right?
No. He's to be put in the forbidden wing. Part 2.
It will close the library.
He says, and everyone sort of looks, and as they're leaving, and then there's this pause, and then a couple of the students start whooping it up.
Woo! Yeah! Ain't that dangerous?
And Claritin says, "You have done well. If you were given detention before, I lift it now."
I mean, we kind of already served.
How?
And
Thank you. Thank you.
he says, "I see you are hurt." And he kind of nods to a couple, and a couple of healers immediately rush up to heal you. And Claritin invites the 3 of you to sit at the 3 empty chairs that are by his side.
Oh my God.
And so you sit down there, and as you're all sitting there, and he's sort of chatting to all of you, there is this moment where, as everyone's talking, a kind of silence falls over the room, and the ghost of Artur Suverin and the ghost of Jael Ogion materialize in front of you, and standing between them is Caleb Ironcloak. And all 3 of them
So hot.
look at you, and bow, and vanish. And that is the end of Night of the Forbidden Library. So, well done, folks.
Thank you.
Before it's the end, can I actually leave the party and be alone?
Thank you all very much. And if I should say, first of all, wonderful job from the players. Thank you very much. And I will also say that if anyone liked this and wants to see more like it, this is available. Night of the Forbidden Library is, as I said, going to be out in a couple of weeks. You can get it yourself. And there are 2 other parts to this, which is Return to the Forbidden Library and Beyond the Forbidden Library, parts 2 and 3. And if you want, you can check this out. This is coming out again from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And I wrote it, and Alligator Alley has done an amazing job.
Can I look at it?
Yeah, absolutely, you can look at this. Is just like a little folder, but you can see some of the amazing stuff in here. There's also book descriptions, like, for example, this one was contributed by Cat Rambo. The Book of the Balance appears to be a regular accounting ledger stamped with the name and seal of Biddlecent and Daughters Bank. A successful DC-10 wisdom check will allow a player reading it to notice that the first name on the first page is the person the book is closest to, and the balance number represents their total net worth in the world, down to the last copper piece. There are no markings or
guys,
other
there are benefits to
indications
reading books.
to show why this particular ledger is magical or who created the object. Book can be used indefinitely until the spell magic is cast on it or the person the book is closer to, and when this happens, that person is unable to read numbers for a period of 1d3 days. So there's a lot of fun things like this. Carlos Hernandez, Mike Underwood, Ed Greenwood contributed to this, Matt Forbeck, Aaron Rosenberg, John Wick, Sean Merwin, James Introcaso, Ashley Warren, Greg Marks, just a ton of good people that contributed, and you can get that stuff as well. So, yeah. So thanks, everybody. Thank you so much again to the players and Twitch. Thank you all. Thank you to our wonderful audience also. Thank you all, audience. Yay. And I'll see you folks soon.
Let's go get a drink.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Oh, God, yes.
That one did not feel like 3 hours.